From pretty much the present, this is your host, Adam Graham, bringing you a week of old-time radio detective podcasts from 2012. Because these podcasts are many years old, any offers or information included in the podcast may not be valid unless they're currently reflected on our Great Detectives of Old Time Radio website at greatdetectives.net. Here now is a week of old-time radio detective podcast. Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13 at greatdetectives.net. Give us a call, 208-991-4783, and become one of our friends on Facebook, facebook.com/radio detectives. Well, our listener support campaign continues. We want to go ahead and begin by thanking Rosaline for sending along a donation. Thank you so much for your support, Rosaline. And we'll be sending along access to our premium site, which we do for all donations of $7 or more whenever they are submitted. And during our listener support campaign, we'll also send Rosaline her choice of either any two Twilight Zone radio episodes, or also any one of the Colonial Radio Theater plays, and these include Father Brown, three different sets they've got with Father Brown, Perry Mason and the Case of the Velvet Claws, and some other kind of interesting episode, King Solomon's Mine, Treasure Island, and of course their Powder River Radio series. Your support is definitely appreciated. I encourage everyone who can and is so minded to support the show at support.greatdetectives.net. All right, well now, before we get into Barrie Craig today, it's important to note a change in the show. Now, not only was there a series of 6 lost episodes between last week's show, The Corpse Who Was Wrong, but there was a change of venue. Throughout its run, for its first 143 episodes, Barrie Craig was a New York production. One of the few radio shows to come out of New York at this time. For its last 10 episodes of its intended run, the program moves to Hollywood for the rest of its life on the radio, which would last about another 50 episodes. The move to Hollywood means no more Don Pardo, of course a New York radio announcer, and you'll also start to hear L.A. cast members, famous L.A. character actors as opposed to the New York actors. So with that advised, from July 6th of 1954, here now is The Tough Guy.
William Gargan stars as Barrie Craig, confidential investigator.
If you crave all the elbow room you can get, folks, be sure to have your coffin built to your own specifications.
The National Broadcasting Company presents William Gargan in another transcribed drama of mystery and adventure with America's #1 detective, Barrie Craig, confidential investigator.
Barrie Craig speaking. Live sharply with your senses in high gear, as a confidential cop must. You notice things the average citizen never sees. Little situations that look normal on the surface, but aren't really. Like a loving couple on the subway, the Sea Beach Express, en route from Times Square to Coney Island. A cute red-headed girl with an ice cream look, and a young fellow with an actor's profile. He had an adoring arm around her waist, inside her coat. Young lovers, peaches and honey. Only thing, I could see the hard outline of a gun under the girl's coat. She was acting cozy, all right, by persuasion. Going through a tunnel, I changed seats to chaperone the situation. Nice day.
Huh? You say something?
I asked, what do you think of the world situation?
Hey, what are you, some kind of a nut?
Isn't everybody?
Look, creep, blow.
My seat's paid for.
Well, my ears aren't.
Oh, now, that's an unneighborly attitude. What does your girlfriend think about it?
Mind your business about my girl.
I can't.
You what?
Chivalry. I've got the taint of the Southern gentleman. I once spent a weekend in Chattanooga. I can't ever pass up a lady in distress.
What makes you think she's in any distress?
Isn't anybody with a gun in their ribs?
Look, wise guy, a gun can point two ways and I'll bite your tongue.
Can't do. I'm a lifelong vegetarian.
You can get plugged.
So can you. Even faster than me.
What does that mean?
Cast a downward glance, brother. My right hand in my right coat pocket. If I fired, now, let's see. Yeah, you'd be shot in the 7th rib.
Who are you?
Sir Galahad. I've got a suggestion to make.
What?
The next station stop, we get off. The three of us. You, me, and the redhead.
If not?
We'll both be disappointed. On the subway platform, I took the obvious precaution. Your gun. Let's have it.
Huh?
Hand over your gun.
Yeah, I guess you would want that. Only thing I'm not so sure...
I've got the drop on you.
I know. First shot's yours, then my turn.
You want it like that?
Call me crazy.
Tex, give him your gun. Tex, please.
Looks like Angie's for you, mister.
For you. She doesn't want you dead.
Look, it's my life. You're not getting my gun. I'll have to lose it to you.
Okay. You give me no choice.
Don't, mister. Don't, please. Don't shoot Tex.
No?
He's stubborn, hard-bitten, crazy stubborn. That's his trouble. That's always been his trouble.
You sound like it's been a long time with Tex.
It's been a long time. I know him through and through.
I see. So what's your line on the situation?
Let him go. Just let him walk away.
Take a walk, Tex.
Sure. Sure, if you say so. I won't thank you, Angie. My hunch is Galahad here's too yellow to shoot anyway.
Go, Tex. While you can, go.
Sure. I'll be looking you up again. We got unfinished business, Angie.
Now what, miss?
Take me home.
Home was a cheap hall bedroom. An all-iron bed and a linoleum rug with designs of cherubs pointing bows and arrows on it. There was a blue waitress's uniform hanging on a clothes tree.
I wait on tables. Renzi's Chop House. No, I won't be able to.
Tex, huh?
He knows about my job.
But doesn't know your home address?
That's one secret I managed to keep.
What are you two to each other?
Sweethearts. We used to be. We grew up together on Elkin Street off Chatham Square.
Rough neighborhood.
A street killing once a month like clockwork. We became engaged when Tex was 14 and I was 12. A ring he stole from his mother.
You still love him?
How can I?
Yeah. He's a bad actor. What gives between you two now?
I don't feel free to discuss it.
Well, maybe you'd better. He left threatening, quote, unfinished business. Also, I'd worry about his gun if I were you.
I do worry, believe me. I'm up nights smoking and walking the floor.
I'm a cop. Not the regular kind. Private. Confidential. I can handle a situation without being hemmed in by regulations.
Meaning?
I can be a friend.
All right. I'll confide in you. For Tex's sake as well as mine. Tex came out of jail last week. First thing he did was look me up.
Why?
A sealed envelope left with me before he stood trial.
Go on.
Tex was convicted of robbing a payroll messenger. The Hubble Electrical Company. $30,000 was stolen cash. The court never got Tex to tell where the money was. Just took his lump, served 5 years.
He stashed the money away.
I don't know that.
The sealed envelope left with you, it had to do with where Tex had the money. I'm sure you guessed that.
Yeah, I guessed it. But I never opened the envelope. I didn't want it on my conscience. I felt that I owed some loyalty to Tex for what we'd been to each other. I remembered good times we'd had. Times Tex acted civilized and normal.
You turned the envelope over to Tex last week. Then what?
Well, Tex came back the next day. He couldn't find the money. It was gone. He
accused you of a double cross.
Yeah, imagine that I'd steamed open the envelope and then sealed it back.
Where was the money supposed to be hidden?
Well, Tex didn't say, and I don't know.
Are you the only person Tex suspects?
No. He also suspects his brother, Willie. Willie's his twin.
Well, how does he connect Willie with the alleged double cross?
Well, while Tex was up, I'd been seeing Willie.
Oh.
Dates. I needed companionship. I couldn't sit around like a stick of wood. Well, Tex thinks Willie got to the envelope, that I was careless with it.
Where did you keep the envelope?
Oh, there, under the linoleum.
Could Willie have kidded you along just to get at the envelope?
I'd say no. Willie's sweet. The opposite of Tex, hard-working and honest. He drives a laundry truck, works like a dog to get somewhere, but...
But?
Oh, you never know who to trust. You never know who's rotten in his heart.
Yeah. Any money to tide you over while you stay away from Renzi's chop house?
I got $4.
You've got 24 now.
Why are you giving me money?
No strings attached. What good's my helping you if I let you starve to death? For so long, I'll be in touch.
Goodbye. And, thanks.
A few doors up from Angie's furnished room, the neighborhood got over-friendly. One resident constituted himself a committee of one to see to my comfort. A fellow with sideburns that ran into his neck.
Hey, you feel something, Pop?
You've got 10 years on me, pal, so how can I be your pop?
Well, my gray hair at an age, I do that on purpose.
Why?
So as I can look distinguished.
Why?
Why? Well, don't everybody want to look distinguished? Hey, you're ribbing me.
And you're ribbing me.
Yeah. I asked you before, do you feel it?
I feel it.
Huh. Sharp, huh?
Another 1/16 of an inch, you'll draw blood.
I got that knife trained that does just what I say.
Tell it to climb back in your pocket.
Ah, the knife says for you to step into the alley.
Which alley?
Oh, pick any one you like.
Okay, that one.
Show the way.
In the alley, I submitted to a frisking.
Hold still.
What, pray, are you looking for?
A gat. How come, fella?
Check my wallet and deduce for yourself.
Oh. Private eye, huh?
Worried?
No, cops don't worry me. I worry them.
A cop fighter.
I was 10 and one shot my old man for nothing. I never forgot.
Shot your old man for nothing?
All he was doing was a saloon stick-up, only for laughs.
Only for laughs?
Yeah, it was a Saturday night, nothing doing, everything dead. The old man wanted to liven things up. And then, boom, and I'm an orphan. Stupid cop.
Sad story.
Well, should I love cops?
No, but don't hate me. I'm private. I work for me.
Now work for me.
What do you want?
I seen you with Angie Palmer, showing her home.
So?
So the dough Angie held for Tex when he was sent up, don't leave Nick out of it.
You being Nick?
Yeah. Me being the Nick that used to beat the ears off of Tex when we was kids, PS 142. 30 G's. And hot money. I've been drooling over it. Who's got it, huh?
I don't know.
Angie or Tex, huh?
I said I don't know.
Or maybe you.
All I've got is what's in my wallet.
$10.
My worldly goods.
Here, take back your wallet. I'm after big stuff. Just like you're after, huh?
Meaning?
Oh, you're after Angie for my reasons.
Maybe.
You make out. Remember, don't leave Nick out of it.
Your knife says.
My knife says. That fence there, you see it?
I see it.
Climb over it and find yourself some other street. I don't want to be seen with you.
I'm hard luck climbing fences. I tear my pants.
Get.
Tex's twin brother, Willie, didn't exactly look the part of a hard-working stiff who drove a launder truck. The suit on him was custom-tailored. The shirt under it was pure silk. The ring on his finger had a rock in it the size of a rhinoceros egg. Prosperity all over him in neon lights.
I haven't seen my brother Tex in 5 years.
Trains stop at Ossining.
Oh, Tex warned me never to visit him in Sing Sing.
A feud between you?
We're peas in a pod, only on the outside.
Meaning?
Tex has always given me a bad time, abuse, trouble. He resents my respectability. Being twin to a bad man has its complications.
Such as?
I'd been arrested time and again for something Tex did in the years before he was sent up. Ladies have identified me as a purse snatcher, stuff like that. I'd stand sweating it out in police lineups.
Angie, why are you romancing Tex's girl?
The normal reasons.
Love?
Uh-huh. Head over heels since I was this high.
But Angie's been Tex's girl.
Once. That's over.
The guy your brother is, you're asking for a headache.
I know. It scares me, but it scares me more to give up Angie.
I see. I glean you've had more schooling than Tex.
Night school. I take courses in speech and electronics.
Pointing for trade?
Radio, TV repairman. I figure someday to open my own shop.
Tell me, what's the twist in Tex?
Well, he was a show-off as a kid. He got used to the wrong kind of applause. He'd pull all kinds of petty stuff just to get attention. He couldn't stand being ignored. It drove him crazy, made him feel like dirt. He's still a kid showing off. But don't take my analysis for it. I'm not a psychologist.
I've got a rough question for you.
I think I know it.
Go ahead.
Did I get close to Angie? Well, just to nose out where Tex hid the stolen $30,000.
What's the answer?
No.
You have no idea where the loot is?
No idea.
Where can I find Tex? Have you any idea?
It happens I do. In my own way, I keep a corner of my eye on him, concerned for Tex and to protect myself. He's hot-headed and unpredictable. I never know.
Well, where can I find him?
22 Tillery Street, a yard house behind the Corning Iron Works. Tex has always used it as a hideout.
Thanks for the information.
Go easy on Tex, huh? He needs understanding.
He needs a straight steer into his future. He's got a blind wall in front of him. I'm referring to the 30,000. The frame yard house behind the ironworks looked like a strong wind would blow it down. I found Tex in the room that had the smell of last year's rain. He was stripped to his waist, stretched out on an army cot. More in a coma than asleep, his eyeballs popping in a lunatic stare and sweating a hot paste of sweat. Sick he couldn't be sicker, and delirious, babbling in a delirium.
Mistake for Tex. Tex riding high. King of the world. Velocity no good. 30,000. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Old Dunstan's chicken farm. Walk a line from the coop. Easy. Oh, it's easy to do it blindfolded. Easy. Easy as pie. Easy.
Pretty soon I was playing nurse to a hoodlum, bathing his brow and cooling him down. And then his eyes were on me, blind to who I was, and suddenly calm as if the fever had passed.
Oh, you.
Yeah?
The bottle. The shelf over the sink. Reach me a pill, will you?
Sure.
Oh.
Here, now, raise up a little.
Oh. Thanks. the pill brings me to. Fine. Oh, I must have passed out.
You were delirious.
Yeah. Fever. I got it in the tropics once. I was a kid on a job in the tropics. Rubber plantation. I was hired out to a surveyor. 40 lousy bucks. The fever. It hits me and goes all the time. It hits me and it goes.
Chronic, huh?
Yeah, chronic. The prison medic had me on shots. You...
What?
Do me another thing, will you? Fry me a couple of eggs. Oh, my stomach. It feels like an empty drum.
How do you like your eggs? He downed 4 eggs and a pot of coffee before he bothered to figure out where he'd seen me before. His eyes began to focus like a veil had dropped.
You're the creep who jumped me on a subway train.
No hard feelings.
What's your game?
Good Samaritan.
The other time you were Galahad.
I'm versatile.
You're either a crook or a cop. Which?
Cop.
Jerk.
But you're prejudiced.
I did 5 years.
For armed robbery. The penalty fit the crime.
Salvation talk.
You can use some.
Some what?
Salvation talk.
Cops hounding me. Look, I paid my debt.
Not quite.
Not quite?
The $30,000 still outstanding. You're still in debt.
I earned that $30,000. 5 years. I lay in a hole for 5 years.
You'll live in the shadows for the rest of your life if you try keeping that money.
My risk. Besides, I haven't got it.
Who has?
Angie or my phony brother Willie.
Or Nick?
Yeah. Oh, Nick. The rat Nick. He was up at Sing Sing visiting Sundays, handing me a carton of smokes and a line. Tip him to where the money was. He'd keep it safe for me. Safe in a pig's eye.
Angie, Willie, or Nick. Anybody else you suspect could have beat you to the money?
McAvoy. The insurance dick in the case. I swear he had a phony look to him. Or you. I wouldn't put it past you.
Everybody's dishonest in your book, huh?
Yeah, sure. The only honest sucker who ever lived was my father. $5 a day digging ditches until he fell dead into one.
What killed him?
The $5 a day. He made 5. He needed 10, period.
Where did you have the money hidden?
Sure, I'll tell you. Why not? It's no secret now. There's a chicken farm up in Yonkers. Dunstan's Chicken Farm. Weekends like candled eggs for old Dunstan, for eats and pocket money. I buried the dough so far from the big coop and so far from Dunstan's tool house. I made a map of the location.
And gave the map in a sealed envelope to Angie.
Angie bribed you, huh?
You searched up at Dunstan's farm?
Yeah, I searched. Joke.
You might have missed finding it. It could happen.
Baloney. I dug up a half an acre of ground.
Let's have another go at it. At Dunstan's.
Another go?
To really make sure it's gone.
You and me, huh? Wouldn't I be crazy?
We turn up the money, I won't lay a hand on it. It's yours. I'll let you decide for yourself.
Decide what?
Take off with it or give it back. Really clean the slate, Tex. We had 4 hours of digging in the evening quiet of Dunstan's Chicken Farm. What used to be Dunstan's Chicken Farm, that is. Dunstan was gone, and there was a for sale sign on the abandoned property.
I give up.
Oh, my sentiments, too. We've at least dug up an old shoe. Now, if we can find one to match it.
I don't make with the jokes. The money's been snitched. I know it.
Maybe old Dunstan himself.
Don't sell me that.
Or anybody. Some lucky stranger.
Still no sale. It's Angie, my smart aleck brother, or Nick.
Hey, somebody mentioned my name?
Nick.
Yeah, in person. Hiya, kid.
Greetings. This disposes of one suspect, Tex.
Yeah, how's that?
Nick trailing around after us, letting us dig and watching us. Would he if he had the $30,000?
No, I guess not. Unless it's a smart cover-up.
Yeah, don't beat your brains, Tex. I ain't got the loot. Yet. I was sure you two chumps was going to lead me to it tonight.
May I offer my regrets?
Save 'em. So it's Angie or Willie, huh?
Nick, stay away from him.
Says who?
I'm warning you.
Oh, long time since I batted your ears, little man.
Yeah. Yeah, I have taken my lumps from you.
Sure, from kid days up. You've been my pigeon.
Oh, Nick.
What?
Got your knife sharpened?
Yeah, and pointing at both of you.
I noticed. But see what I've got.
What? Hey, a gun.
Cocked and ready. Drop your knife, Nick.
Oh, sure, no argument. Drop it.
Tex,
Yeah?
I've got a hunch about you. That you've taken a lot of guff from people right from the cradle. That it gave you, say, a complex. Made you try awfully hard to pass yourself off as a tough guy.
Yeah, I've taken a lot of abuse from Nick here, right? He made me the joke of the block. All the time, the joke of the block.
With his fists, fair and square, and the best man wins?
Fists my eye. With his knife. I got scars to show.
Then go to it.
Go to it.
Here's your chance to lick Nick in a fair fight, man to man. Lick Nick and lick a few of your complexes.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wondered how I do it, Nick, fair and square. Let's get to it, Nick.
Hey, wait a
I'm
minute.
gonna beat your brain.
No, now listen.
Show some fight, Nick.
Listen, Tex.
With Nick demolished, we had T-bone steaks for ourselves in a lunch wagon. There was a new shine to Tex. Confidence, but of a different variety than before.
Oh, I feel great. Great.
I'm glad to hear.
Oh, like a weight off me. Like Nick was the symbol of something that had me down. Always had me down.
Well, in flattening Nick, you proved to yourself you could make out on the level with honest sweat and toil.
Yeah. It flashed through me the exact words you say. I got stuff I don't have to put on. I can be me. But I'm forgetting something.
What?
The money. The money's gonna pull me down low.
Meaning?
Somebody's enjoying it. But it's my rap. I'll get the short end of it from the cops, the insurance outfit. They'll never believe I lost the loot to somebody. I gotta put the screws on Angie and Willie.
Tex,
Yeah.
I'll make book that neither Angie or your brother have double-crossed you.
Well, why wouldn't they?
They're just not the criminal type.
That's crazy.
While you're learning things, also learn to have a little faith in people.
That's gonna come a little tough.
Angie's a sweetheart, and your brother's solid gold.
Yeah, nice words.
Now, about the money. Who got it? I've been picking my brain.
No, who hasn't?
I've got an advantage. I'm a cop.
Meaning you think better?
20 years of the trade gives a man a certain training.
Yeah, well, you show me.
Your room behind the ironworks. When I came across you earlier today, you were in a coma, delirious, babbling out loud.
The fever.
The fever. It comes and goes, you said.
Yeah, it comes and goes.
Now think. Did the fever get you in prison?
Yeah, it did. Very bad once. Last year, that was, I was in a hospital for a week.
A week of babbling out loud, like you babbled to me in that room. You know some of the words I caught from you while you were delirious?
No, go ahead and tell me.
Dunstan's chicken farm. Walk a line from the coop. Blindfolded. Do it easy.
Wait. Babbling in my delirium. Is that like talking in my sleep?
Talking things wild horses couldn't drag from you when you were conscious.
The DA and the judge couldn't drag it from me. Neither could the warden. Where was the dough? I laughed in their faces.
Now think hard, Tex, if you get my drift.
I'm ahead of you. I know who we're after. I got his face in front of me.
Who is he?
Joey Stutt's a short-timer in Sing Sing. He was an orderly in a hospital. He couldn't do enough for me. With the alcohol and the sponge, with the medicine, every time I'd come to, there was Joey sitting in my bed. Smart Joey.
He got an earful of your babble.
Oh, yeah. I made him a present of $30,000.
Know where we can look him up?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I do know.
Wind up a case, you don't always do it to the king's taste. Or should I say, the law's taste. We found Joey Stutz, all right, living it up big in a Park Avenue duplex. Funny-looking runt of a guy in a Japanese kimono and gold-stitched bedroom slippers. Joey had a surprise for us up his kimono sleeves.
I wondered when you was going to tumble at my little trick, Tex.
Your ears open while I lay in a coma, rat.
It took just 4 days for me to figure out what you were telling me. How to walk 10 yards from a coop and then 5 more left of the tool house.
Cough up the dough.
I can't.
Make it tough, Joey, so
No, take it easy, Tex. Take it easy. I'll give you what I got. Look, here, how much is there, huh? 82 cents.
30 G's, Joey.
Oh, wait till I show you, Tex. Here, look. Canceled checks. See? If you total them up, I think you'll get 30 grand, just about.
You went through 30 grand?
Sure, in a year it was easy. I had myself a ball. I had horses and dames and a fancy foreign sports job that I rented. Whoa. Tex, it was like a dream come true.
A dream?
Yeah, for 1 year, but you're king of the world. Money to burn, not a care in the world. Oh, Tex, come on, you had the same dream yourself, huh?
Yeah. I had the same dream myself.
Yeah.
I sure had.
Climax happened like that. A fortune blown to the winds, and that was all there was to it. I consoled Tex.
Craig, what's my situation now?
Well, we get the truth on public record. I'd say you're in the clear yourself. Blameless. Free to live the new man. Joey here has a debt to pay.
I'm ready to do time. Because, brother, what I did was worth it.
Yeah, you had more fun. 82 cents left out of $30,000. How did you manage to hold on to 82 cents, Joey?
I got a thrifty streak in me on my mother's side. hey, look, you're grinning, Shummers.
Yeah. I'm thinking how I'm going to take you downtown as you are, in your silk kimono and gold slippers.
Huh?
I want headquarters to see what the well-dressed crook is wearing nowadays. Shall we go, gentlemen?
You have been listening to William Gargan in another exciting transcribed mystery drama from the adventures of Barrie Craig, confidential investigator. Tonight's story, The Tough Guy, was written by John Robert. Next week, it's the strange story of murder by error, about which Barrie Craig has this to say.
Next week's story, Murder by Error, a footloose husband stubs his morals and almost collapses into the electric chair when a hot pistol sends a cold chill through him. Good night, folks. See you next week.
The National Broadcasting Company has just brought you William Gargan, starring as Barrie Craig, confidential investigator, directed by Arthur Jacobson. Heard in our cast were Charlotte Lawrence, Shep Menken, and Larry Dotkin. This is Eddie King speaking. NBC sends a welcome to WAPI Birmingham, its newest affiliate and Alabama's oldest radio station. This is the NBC Radio Network.
Welcome back. Barrie Craig, confidential investigator and psychologist. It all works out, though, as they find out at least what happened to the money. There would have been something in him if he had recovered it. But as it is, he just gets the satisfaction of doing a good turn, which that type of thing definitely works for Barrie Craig. Some other detectives would be a little more broke up about the whole matter. All right, well, for those of you who have the app or our premium site, we do have something extra special for you. It's an episode of Guest Star with William Gargan. Please enjoy this February App Extra. Before we do get started, I want to encourage you, if you can, to support our listener support campaign. Special thanks to Joel, who gave in support of the show. We're sending access to our premium site, and also one of the extras available, which include digital downloads of the Colonial Radio Theater's programs, including Father Brown, Perry Mason, Treasure Island, just a wide variety of different shows we're making available for you to enjoy. At the $50 donation level, we send one option that's available is additional downloads from BBC Audio, including the several Poirot mysteries available, and we also have Amazon instant video. They'll be sent. You can watch it on an eligible device or on your computer through Amazon Instant Video. Your choice of several Poirot television movies starring David Suchet, including Appointment with Death, The Third Girl, and Murder on the Links. And we have even more options available at support.greatdetectives.net. Well, we have 2 lost episodes between last week's show and this one. The titles are unknown. And the title of this week's episode is a very different episode. I hope you're going to enjoy it. From February 26th of 1950. Here now is episode 6 of Christopher London, The Terrible Price of Sugar.
With a knife in his back, a nameless Filipino in San Francisco. With a bullet in her body, a girl in mid-Pacific. But there were others. There were so many others. 8,000 of them on an island in the Philippines.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Christopher London, created especially for radio by the world's foremost mystery writer, Earl Stanley Gardner. Produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and starring Mr. Glenn Ford.
I am Christopher London. The whole thing started with a vague conversation about the murder of an unknown Filipino. Mr. Anders, president of the San Francisco Sugar Company, either could not or would not say what, if anything, he suspected.
I'm sorry, Mr. London. I can't tell you what I think because I don't know what I think.
I get the impression that it's not the murder that worries you.
Why should it? I never saw the man. I have no idea who he was or why he tried to get to me. With a knife in his back, the doctors wonder how he ever made it to my door.
A knife in his back with your name and address in his pocket. And his body terribly scarred as if he'd been beaten for years.
Yes, it's all very mysterious. Yeah. But the police are investigating. I suppose they'll learn the truth in time. That's not what I wanted to see you about.
Well, what else, then?
The price of sugar.
The price of sugar?
Exactly. Now, this is all I can tell you.
Uncle Ted, I wonder
come in, dear.
Oh?
This is Christopher London, my niece Linda.
Oh, I've heard about you, Mr. London.
Oh, now, whatever you've heard, I deny every word of it.
Is Mr. London sailing with me, Uncle Ted?
Maybe on the same ship would be a better way to put it. Yes, my dear, I want him to go to Manila.
Oh, then you better go, Mr. London. Whether you want to or not, you're as good as aboard ship already.
Well, I'd better get ashore, Mr. London.
Well, still a few minutes.
Yeah, I suppose. How do you like the stateroom?
Oh, it's very elegant.
Good. Now, is there anything else you want to know?
You want me to find out how a company named Southern Cross is able to go on underselling your product. And that's all?
That's all. Frankly, Mr.
Mr. Anders, I don't get the reason for all this outlay of money here. This stateroom.
Don't you? Maybe it's because if you don't come back, I'd like to think you died in luxury.
Let's go in the shore.
Well, London, bon voyage. Linda will be waiting for me at the gangway. Keep an eye on her, will you? And look out for yourself, too.
The ship was beautiful, the night was dark, and the sea was calm. Hawaii was a long way beyond the horizon, and Manila and the Philippines still farther. The girl beside me at the rail was very, very lovely. She sighed rather happily and said,
My uncle said you'd probably ask me a lot of questions.
Did he, Miss Anders?
Won't Linda do?
Linda?
Christopher?
Now that we've got that settled, let's Get back to the questions your uncle said I would ask. Did he say what they'd be?
Not exactly.
Well, did he say what your answers would be?
Not
exactly, yes.
Shall we walk around the deck?
We walked once around the deck, and then we went into the cocktail lounge and had a coffee and brandy at a little table in a quiet corner.
You know, Christopher, I think this is going to be a good voyage.
Well, I hope it is. Have you ever been out to Manila before?
Oh, lots of times. I've gone with my uncle every time he went, ever since I can remember. My parents died when I was a baby, if that explains anything.
It does, a little. I suppose you know a lot about your uncle's business, then.
That's one of the questions he said you'd ask me.
And the answer?
The answer is yes. I think I know as much about his business as he does.
You're a very interesting girl, Linda.
You know, that's what I always say. I always say, Linda, you're a very interesting girl. Oh, don't look now, but
Howdy,
there's a
boy.
man coming.
You don't know me and I don't know you, but that ain't no reason why we can't yell at each other over the fence, now is it? I'm Jim Blake from Texas, on Lone Star State. And where I go, I buy the drinks. Oh, waiter.
Coming, sir?
Won't you sit down, Mr. Blake?
I am sitting, thank you, ma'am. My name's Blake.
Yes, that's what I thought you said. One of the New Jersey Blakes, no doubt.
Well, now, you know that is real funny.
Oh, I'm sorry.
People's always joking me about Texas. What'd you say your name was?
I didn't say. However, it's London, Christopher London.
Well, I'm mighty glad to know you, Chris. What'll you and Mrs. London have?
$15 or 20 years later, Linda and I pried ourselves out of the heart of Texas. She said she was tired, so I took her to her stateroom door. Good night, Linda. Sleep well.
Oh, come in for a minute.
What? All right.
Just for a minute. There's something I want to give you. Sit down while I find it. Maria, not finished yet? No, ma'am, but pretty...
Linda's personal maid, a pretty girl from the islands, was still unpacking trunks. In a moment, Linda returned with a small, decorated jewel case in her hands.
Oh, here it is. Christopher, keep it for me, will you?
Oh, now look, if this is jewelry, you'd better give it to the purser. Keep it in a safe.
It's not jewelry.
Oh, and do you mind if I ask just what it...
Well, nothing. It's just that I'd rather you kept it.
All right. Good night, Linda.
Until tomorrow, Christopher.
I took the jewel case back to my stateroom and found that somebody had shoved a note under my door. It read, "Take off that beard, we know you." The writer had a sense of humor. But in my experience, the most dangerous enemies are those that laugh. I took a closer look at the little jewel case. It had one of those intricate Chinese locks that are easy to break, but not easy to open without the proper key. I put the box in a pillowcase and carried it to the office of the ship's doctor.
Now, what can I do for you, Mr. London?
Your laboratory is equipped with X-ray, I suppose, Doctor?
Yes, of course.
Well, I know this sounds a little strange, but I wonder if you'd take a picture of this box here, just as it is. It was exactly what I expected. I carried the box back to my stateroom, shoved it under the bunk, and went to bed. I don't know how long I'd been asleep when suddenly there was a knock on the door. I was out of bed like a shot. Just a second. Yes?
Miss Anders asked if you will come at once.
What? Oh, yes, all right. I'll be there in a minute. I put on a pair of pants and shirt, hurried into the corridor, and collided with...
Look where you're going, can't you? Oh, well, howdy, London.
Sorry, in a hurry.
Come in, Christopher.
What's the matter?
Well, nothing's the matter. I just couldn't sleep, and I was lonely.
Oh, no. Oh, look. Look, do you realize it's 2 a.m.?
Well, of course, if you'd rather go back to bed.
All right. What do you want to do?
Would you like to play some gin rummy?
No, I wouldn't like to play some gin rummy.
No. Well, men love to talk about themselves. Let's talk about you.
Okay, get the cards. We played a few hands in silence, and then Linda asked...
Christopher.
What?
What did you think of Mr. Blake, the Lone Star Stranger?
You ever been in Texas?
No, why?
I wonder if he has.
You mean you think...
Oh, forget it. I've got gin.
Oh.
And now, if you think that I've been away from my cabin long enough, I'm going back.
Away from your cabin long enough? I don't understand.
Well, I just wondered if that precious jewel box of yours would still be there.
Christopher, you don't think somebody's taken it?
Would it make any difference?
You opened it. But you had to break the lock off, didn't you?
Oh, what are you talking about?
Because the lock was filled with solder. It couldn't be opened.
Well, I didn't open the case, Linda.
Then why are you so casual about it?
Because it was filled to the top with just what you said was in it. Nothing.
But,
No, I'll save you the trouble of asking. I had the thing x-rayed.
Oh.
Yes, you can say that again.
Oh, forgive me, Christopher. It was just a sort of a trial. My uncle and I wanted to be sure you were clever enough for this job. And you are clever, Christopher. Really clever. You're the only man I ever met who's smarter than I. Christopher, would you consider kissing me goodnight?
Yeah, I'll consider it. When I finally got back to my stateroom, the jewel case was no longer under the bed where I'd put it. But I think that as I went to sleep again, I may have had a smile on my face. The days that followed were filled with shuffleboard, and the nights were filled with dancing. Jim Blake, the Texas steer, was usually close by, but in time you got used to him, as you would a bad head cold. Every night when I turned in, I could expect to find another humorous little message tucked under my door, such as, roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and you'll be a long time dead. Meanwhile, in odd moments with Linda, I managed to get a little more information about sugar growing and refining. One moonlit night, when we were together on the boat deck.
Isn't it magic, darling? Isn't it simply magic? Christopher, I'm talking to you.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
What are you thinking about?
Oh, sugar, I guess.
Oh.
Now, you say this Southern Cross Company is selling sugar at a price that is actually below your cost.
That's right.
Well, are your costs higher than they should be?
They're as low as any in the industry, and I don't want to talk about it now, darling.
Oh, perhaps they may have developed some new and better method of refining sugar.
Possibly. That's what you're supposed to find out. Christopher. I'm cold.
A few days after leaving Honolulu on the way to Manila, we entered a bank of thick fog, like a damp, clinging shroud. And it was in the fog that tragedy struck, suddenly and without warning. I was standing at the rail near the stern, looking out at nothing, listening to the foghorn and the beat of the ship's engines, when... I couldn't see a thing. I ran in the direction of the sound. Groping through the fog, I found a white coat flapping emptily, caught in a boat davit. It was Linda's coat.
You are listening to Christopher London, starring Glenn Ford.
It was an apparently harmless mission that Anders had asked me to undertake, simply to find out how it was possible for a rival sugar refining company to undersell his product. Mr. Anders had warned me that the job might be dangerous, and so it was. I stood on deck in the swirling fog, holding Linda's coat in my hands and feeling sick at heart. The liner's searchlights were vainly glaring through the mist. But it was useless, and everybody knew it. I started for the radio room to send a message to Anders when a vague figure moved behind me.
Christopher, who was it?
Linda.
What's the matter? And what are you doing with my coat?
Linda.
I told Maria to wear it when I sent her to look for you, and then Christopher. Was it Maria?
I'm afraid so.
Oh, poor Maria.
An hour or so later, I found Texas Jim Blake in the bar.
Well, howdy, London. Double scotch and soda for my friend here.
Very good, sir.
That was right nasty business about Miss Anders' maid, wasn't it? I understand you think you heard a shot.
Yeah, I heard a shot.
Real ornery. Who do you think would have wanted to kill that poor girl? If I was in charge of this boat, I'd look for a gun that had been fired lately.
Well, I doubt if you'd find it at the bottom of the ocean.
You think you'd throw it overboard?
Wouldn't you?
Well, now, I suppose I would. That reminds me of a story I heard about a cowpoke back in Texas. Seems he was
Mr. Blake, do you ever get tired of that accent?
How's that? What? I just talk the way folks talk in Texas. This ain't no accent, son. That's Texas talk.
Yeah, okay. Oh, by the way, were you in Dallas or Galveston when Maria was shot and pitched over the side?
London, let me ask you a simple question. Why do you care where I was at when that shot was fired? You think I killed her?
Did you?
In Texas...
Yes, I know. In Texas, they shoot men for less than that.
You're joking me again, London. Hey, you know, London, I've been thinking. Now, naturally, I know Miss Linden, her uncle, is interested in the sugar business in the Philippines, and just as it happens, I got an interest in sugar myself. I'm some stock in a company named the Southern Cross. You ever hear of it?
Southern Cross Sugar? Yeah, sure. I've heard of it. They got a plantation of something like 50 square miles on the island of Negros, haven't they?
Yeah, 50 square miles of sugar cane. That's what they tell us poor stockholders. But I'm from Texas, and I don't believe nothing that I don't see. Folks that run this shindig say we can sell more sugar and cheaper than any other company in the world. Well, I got money in this proposition, Chris. Good Texas money, and I'm going to see for myself. You and Miss Linda wouldn't want to come along, would you? Sort of look over the plantation with me?
Why, Mr. Blake, I'd just bet Miss Linda and I would be charmed to look over the Southern Cross plantation with you.
Oh, you're always joking me, London, but I mean that invitation. Seriously.
And I mean it. Seriously.
Well, then that is just wonderful. Tomorrow we'll be in Manila. I got me a boat waiting for me, and they tell me the trip to Negros just ain't nothing. Have another drink.
A little later, I went down to Linda's stateroom to escort her to dinner.
All right, Christopher. I'm ready.
Linda, I've been talking to Jim Blake.
Oh, the Texas steer?
He's not funny. I think he's a killer.
What?
Yes, I think he tried to kill you and got Maria instead. Now he wants you and me to visit the Southern Cross plantation. Says he has Texas money in it.
But why, Christopher? I don't understand. Why would he...
It's either a trap or a showcase. I don't know.
Well, I still don't
Well,
understand.
neither do I. Whatever it is, though, you're going to stay in Manila while I take a look at it. There's no point in us both taking a chance. I left Linda in Manila at the local office of her uncle's company. Blake and I went on together to the island of Negros and the huge Southern Cross plantation. It rained constantly, and the growl of distant thunder was almost continuous. The director of the plantation was a suave, expressionless fellow named Juan Ibarra, who used words as if he were translating from another language.
Coming from the southeast bad weather, senores. Very bad storm.
Well, if you haven't been in a Texas storm, you don't know what a storm is really like. What time is it, Chris?
It's about 4.
Well, now, let me see. We done pretty well for one day's inspection. We've gone through the refinery from top to bottom, saw the loading dock, drove through one of the fields of sugar cane. Well, what do you say we go back to the house and have us a drink?
Yes, I could use one, Blake. While we drove back to the director's house, I asked a few innocent questions. Ibarra?
Si, senor.
Tell me, how many men does it take to do the work on a place this size?
It takes 7,000, 8,000, maybe.
7,000, 8,000? Oh, that's a lot of men. Where do you keep them?
Where do I keep them?
Yes, I mean, where do they live?
See, on the plantation. Here they live.
Yes, I know that.
Hey, Chris, I've been thinking about that refinery. You much of an engineer?
Enough to understand a simple process as refining sugar. It seemed like a good plant.
As you say, Senor London, the plant is good, but it is just the same like many others. No difference.
Yes, I suppose so. I was asking about the workers on the place. Hey, what's that? Oh, wait a minute. Stop the car. Look, I said stop the car.
No, Senor London. It is not to be wise to interfere.
Well, they're whipping that poor devil to death.
Maybe he deserves it, huh, Ibarra?
Well, nobody could deserve punishment like that.
It is the only thing the bad ones understand, Senor London.
And the subject was dropped. Just like that. A few moments later, Ibarra led Blake and me out in front of the plantation house and drove the Jeep away to the garage. For a moment, we stood together in the rain. He seemed a little subdued.
Yeah, too bad about what we seen back there. I guess they ain't real human, though. They're more like animals.
Would you beat a horse or a dog to death?
As a stockholder in this here plantation, I'm going to talk to Ibarra about that. You coming in?
No, you go on ahead. I'll be right with you.
Okay, I sure am soaking. Rain ain't nothing like Texas rain.
There was something ominous about the place. Not just the steady rain or the thunder grumbling in the distance. Not just the cruelty I had glimpsed in the sodden jungle. No, it was something more. It was something worse than I was willing to let myself believe. As I entered the house, I saw that the living room was dark and apparently deserted. But there was a log blazing in the fireplace, so feeling damp and cold, I went and held my hands to its warmth.
Senor London?
What? Oh. Well, hello.
I am Dolores, Senor London.
Hello, Dolores.
I was told you like scotch and soda.
Yes.
I have a drink all ready for you. Here, by the fire. A drink for me, too.
Well, you or somebody seems to think of everything. No, thanks. You're Mrs. Ibarra, I suppose?
No, senor. I am just Dolores.
Oh.
Is your drink as you would have it?
Yes, just right, Dolores.
Senor.
Yes, Dolores. Just right.
How can I say it? I had expected you to be the same. Like other friends of the Peaky Bar. But you are different. So very different.
Save it. I suppose you were told to get me to talk. Another time it might be kind of pleasant to play that game. But not tonight.
Senor.
There's something I want to ask you, even though I don't expect an answer. If I asked you to come away with me, away from this plantation, right now, tonight, would they let us go?
I do not know.
That's the answer I expected. Well, I'm going to change it to some dry clothes. How long she'd been standing there in the doorway, I don't know. I hadn't heard a sound, but as I turned away from Dolores and started to my room...
Hello, Christopher.
Linda, I told you not to come.
Aren't you glad to see me?
Now, Linda, I wasn't hired to be your companion or your bodyguard. Now, I was hired to make one single investigation.
Yes, how's the investigation going this week?
Well, your uncle wants to know how Southern Cross is able to undersell him. I think I'm beginning to understand.
Christopher, I got a wire in Manila from my uncle. He's making some kind of a deal. He wants you to drop the whole thing.
And that was that. I was just to drop the whole thing. But the whole thing was something I couldn't drop. Too much blood had been shed. Late that night, when the others were asleep, I stole out of the house. The center of the storm had veered around to the east and seemed somewhat nearer. By the flashes of lightning, I found the road I was looking for, the road Ibarra had avoided during our tour of inspection. The path wound through the jungle for perhaps a quarter of a mile and then came to what was unmistakably a concentration camp. The miserable collection of shelters was completely surrounded by a high stockade of steel and barbed wire. The single gate was guarded by a sentry with a Tommy gun. One look was enough. Now I knew the secret of the Southern Cross's success. Forced labor. Slavery. I returned to the house and cautiously opened the door.
Well, howdy, Chris. Been out walking, have you? Take his gun, Bar.
It will be better you do not move, Senor London. Gracias.
Christopher, I told you to drop the whole thing. Now see what you've done. You've ruined everything.
It's late, but I guess we don't feel much like sleeping now, do we? So let's just sit down in front of the fire and swap yarn.
Isn't one of the mob missing? Where's Dolores?
We don't need her for this little party. Come here, baby. Come here and sit down beside me.
All right, Jim.
Now if we're all together, I'll call the meeting to order.
What happened to that Texas drawl, partner?
I guess I'm just a big ham at heart, but it serves a purpose. With that twang, you can talk to anybody and get away with practically anything.
Christopher saw to it. The night we sailed.
Yeah, London's smart. He's a lot too smart for his own good. I kept telling him that on those notes I left for him under his cabin door.
Look, will I be interrupting if I ask a few questions?
No, go ahead.
Well, first about me. I assume you have some kind of plan in mind?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
If only you'd listened to me, Christopher, before it was too late.
This talk of us is nothing. Why can we not dispose of Senor London without delay further?
Take it easy. There's no hurry. Yeah. Anything else you want to know, London?
I think I already know most of it. I suppose the Filipino who was killed in San Francisco came from here.
Yes, that's right. Managed to sneak off the place somehow. I see. Naturally, I had to kill him.
That was close.
Yeah, baby.
I hate these storms.
Well, I didn't know you scared so easily, Linda. Oh, by the way, was it you who killed your maid, Maria?
Well, I had to, Christopher. She caught Jim and me together and guessed how it was. She said she was going to tell you, so I had to.
You know, Linda, for a nice girl, you're something out of a nightmare.
Christopher, you shouldn't talk to me like that. After all, it wasn't as if
I think that hit the house. Listen.
Easy, Sonaris, I will go.
There was a split second of confusion, but a split second can be the difference between life and death. I threw myself at Blake, slamming my shoulder into his chest, and we crashed to the floor. I got out of there with a broken left arm and a revolver. I don't know whether it was Blake's or Ibarra's. I don't know how much damage I did, but at least there was nobody following me as I retraced the road to the slaves' stockade. A sentry was standing at the gate holding a Tommy gun cradled in his arm. I got as close to him as I could, sheltered by the trunk of a huge mahogany tree, less than 15 feet from the gate. And then he heard me.
Halt! Who goes there? Now listen to me very carefully. I'm giving you a chance to save your life. Drop your gun and open that gate. Who are you? A friend. Open the gate and let those men out. And I'll give you one more chance. I don't want to hurt you. Now let those men out. Well, if that's the way it's got to be.
And Linda? She's dead, too?
Yes, Mr. Anders, with the others. When the men streamed out of the stockade, there was no stopping them. But she died instantly with a bullet through her heart.
What she did sounds as impossible as all the rest of it. Then actual slavery sounds impossible, too.
Have you any idea how much actual slavery still exists in the world today? It's not a comforting thought, but one we can't afford not to think about. Freedom is still something to fight for.
That was Christopher London, starring Glenn Ford, and created especially for radio by the world's most widely read mystery writer, Earl Stanley Gardner. Christopher London is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and was tonight written by Mindred Lord. Musical score was composed and conducted by Lynn Murray. Mr. Ford's supporting company included Joan Banks, Virginia Gregg, Barton Yarborough, Ted DeCorsia, Alan Reed, and Ben Wright. Mystery fans, you'll find two other great pulse-packed adventure programs on most of these NBC stations every Monday night. Listen tomorrow night for Night Beat and Dangerous Assignment in 1 hour of intrigue and adventure on NBC. On Night Beat, you'll meet Randy Stone, as portrayed by Frank Lovejoy. You'll travel the night beat of a newspaper with Randy as he searches the big city for a story to make good reading in the morning edition. Then it's time for Brian Donlevy in Dangerous Assignment. Wherever there's trouble brewing throughout the world, there you'll find soldier of fortune Donlevy chasing down the forces of evil to their very lairs. These two programs, Night Beat and Dangerous Assignment, add up to 1 hour of the best in action-packed adventure mystery, and you'll hear them both tomorrow night on NBC. And be with us again next week at this time when Christopher London returns with another exciting excursion against crime. Stay tuned for the Phil Harrises and then Sam Spade on NBC.
Welcome back. Well, this was one of the more dramatic radio programs. This is actually one of my favorite ever of any program. This was well done, dramatic, with a lot of surprises and twists and turns. And I loved it as much the second time as I did the first time I listened to it quite a while back. This is definitely a show with some staying power. And this timeless battle for freedom. All right, well, that will actually do it for today. Comments from Podcast Alley. Greatly enjoy the shows. Thank you so much for your support. We will be back on Wednesday with Let George Do It. Well, before we do get started, I want to say a special thank you to Regina, who sends along a donation. Thank you so much, Regina, and we are sending along access to our premium site. In addition to that, we'll send along a special thank you gift of her choice. At the $20 level, we offer your choice of any of a long list of Colonial Radio Theater programs, including Treasure Island, Zorro and the Pirate Raiders, and Father Brown, or any 2 Twilight Zone radio dramas. At the $50 level, for those who donate $50 or more, one option we have is a gift certificate to Radio Archives, good for a download of any of their real beautiful sounding, high definition vintage radio programs. Again, this is a digital download, fantastic sound quality, and one option that is available is Let George Do It, Volume 2, Volume 4, which contains 2 episodes not in general circulation, that were re-syndicated in Canada. The episodes were Spring Session and Triple Indemnity. And at the $100 level, we'll provide a gift certificate sufficient for getting a digital download of any of their sets. And 2 of those have additional episodes of Let George Do It available in Let George Do It Volume 1 and Volume 2 from Radio Archives. All right, well, it's time for today's episode of Let George Do It. This one is called Angel's Grotto. Please enjoy.
Personal notice, danger's my stock and trade. If the job's too tough for you to handle, you got a job for me, George Valentine. Full details.
Standard Oil Company of California, on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West, invites you to Let George Do It. Angel's Grotto, another adventure of George Valentine.
Dear Mr. Valentine, you are fired. I know that's a clumsy way to put it, but I've been a nurse too many years to learn parlor diplomacy. Besides, you've been here at the Grotto farmhouse for almost a day now, and you haven't found anything. Not a single thing. Not that you should have. Perhaps I was just hysterical this morning when I called you out here. But now even the police seem to agree, don't they? Mr. Moraga's death last evening was an accident. Yes, an accident. And so much as I appreciate your coming to help, why should you stay on? Sincerely, Emily Flood.
Oh, Miss Flood. Miss Flood.
Yes? Oh, Mr. Valentine.
Oh, here you are. We've been looking all over.
Did you get my note?
Yes, back at the house, but we wanted to...
I don't like it back there. I came
Look,
out
Miss Flood, I was a little surprised. After all, I've barely even had a chance to talk to you since we got here.
You see, there's very little factual evidence of any kind.
Here. Did you check here? There might have been fingerprints on the handrail that might show...
No, we checked all that. Best fingerprint man in the state found nothing to prove anything, not even on the wheelchair. No sign of a struggle.
He hated that wheelchair. Imagine a man only 45 who usually couldn't sit still for a minute, having to spend 6 months in that thing. It was from a sailing accident. The bone wouldn't heal.
Uh-huh.
Most of the nurses were scared to death of him. But he liked me, because I wasn't good looking and I didn't have an eye on his purse. And he had told me about this grotto.
The Angel's Grotto. beautiful, isn't it? All that moss and the ferns.
Yes. I saw it first about the same time yesterday. I just brought him out from the train, and he had to come here first thing, even before supper.
Did you try to find the angel like we did?
Oh, it's just a legend. Indians who used to work at the mission across the ranch. An angel of stone, they say. Crossed by the waterfall, I guess.
Yeah. Only it's like all those things, huh? The face in clouds, the mountain shaped like a man's head. You can never really see it.
Angel of death. He used to come out here and just sit when he was a little boy, you know. It was all so different then, he said. The farm, I mean. Just a place in the woods. And an exciting, scary grotto for boys to tell stories about and dare each other to come close to the edge. They were lovely boys, I guess. Herman hadn't met the bottle and the blondes yet. And that whiny stepbrother who still lives here was just like the real brothers.
And John hadn't taken up sailing or broken hips, or even gone out to the city to build his steel mills to become the richest man in the state.
Or been murdered.
Mr. Valentine.
All right, lady, we're sorry. We know you're upset. Anyway, there aren't any facts. But last night at supper, well, those guys aren't boys anymore, are they?
He hated his family. He said this was the last time he'd ever come back.
You want the rest of it? If you're going to fire me, you want my report, why I say murder?
Go on.
Well, you were there. You and he and the boys last night, remember? You were all sitting around the table.
No, I don't want to talk business tonight. I don't want to talk anything. I'm tired. Emily, have you done my unpacking yet?
Well, I thought as soon as supper is over, while you sit outside for a while.
Sure, your nurse will take care of things, John. Here, have another glass of wine. It's special.
No, I said.
Well, the farm isn't business. I only waited till you came, John, to talk about buying a new tractor instead of riding.
Oh, for the love
Leave him alone, Jake. He's tired. Can't you hear what he
Well, I
said?
got a setter coming around tonight. Got to get out there, help her with the pups. I only thought if he could spare $1,000 or so.
Leave him alone. Jake, you'll just never understand us business.
Well, farm's a farm. You can't operate on that.
Stop it, both of you, stop it. I came here for a one-day visit, that's all. That day starts tomorrow.
Oh, sure, Johnny, sure, we understand. I don't come out to the old place often myself, but a little reunion is different, huh?
No. I wish I'd stayed in Florida.
Don't blame you. All those classy nurses.
Please, Mr. Moraga.
Well, Johnny, I know the farm isn't very important anymore to you, but all I wanted to say was...
Oh, get out to your barn. Go be a midwife. Whatever it is. Now, you nurse, see if you can't give the cook out there a hand with the dishes. I notice Mary's not as speedy as she used to be, Jake.
Stay where you are, Emily. Herman, for your information, I'm sick and tired of the steel business, too.
Huh?
You heard me, Mr. Vice President, in charge of gas and wind?
Oh,
yes. Get everybody out. Leave us brothers alone. Have some wine. You don't want to talk business, not old Herman. Herman, the diplomatic sponge. Well, I wrote you I'm going to retire, didn't I? In the prime of life, and why not? And that means for my family, too. I'm here to cut all strings at once. Lazy relative steel mills, old family homesteads, the works. I'm sick and tired of supporting a worthless bunch.
Please, don't. You're tired. You'll upset yourself. You said everything could wait till tomorrow. Everything you have to say to me.
Yes. All right. I'm sorry, Emily. You two fellas. Wheelchair doesn't make a guy like me very friendly, but I mean it. I'm moving to Florida for good. Only, we'll talk tomorrow, huh?
Sure, Johnny, sure. We understand.
No, you don't. You're going to work for a living, Herman. Well, what's the matter with you, Jake?
Huh?
Earn your own tractor. Me? I'm tougher than all of you, I guess. Well, what's the matter? Want to murder me or something? Well, come on, say something.
Want to murder me or something? And then, Miss Flood, you brought John Moraga out in his wheelchair to sit in the evening air. And you went back to do the unpacking and clean up the dishes for Mary, the cook, who was out helping Jake. Brother Herman, he went to his room, so the testimony says, where he drank that wine all by himself. Jake, he came out and smoked a cigarette for a while with the impatient invalid. Then went to the barn and was busy for some time delivering a litter of puppies.
Your testimony is very complete, Mr. Valentine.
So what? So 10 o'clock you came out to bring Mr. Moraga in for the night. And he was missing. Because around 9 o'clock, according to police reports, the doctors, his wheelchair parked here overlooking the grotto where you left him got a little bit too close to the edge.
Oh. But there wasn't any evidence. You couldn't find anything.
No. No evidence to show whether the brakes just slipped and the wheelchair rolled over, or whether Mr. Moraga was pushed off the edge. 200 feet down to the rocks.
All those hatreds and everything, even motives. But everybody's story seemed to check.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing so far can be proved.
Mr. Valentine, you kicked that rock just now to see how I would react.
Maybe.
Well, I think you should understand there won't ever be any evidence. His death was an accident. I believe that now. So get out. Get out. Please, go.
Johnny couldn't have been too surprised, Mr. Valentine. Said he saw the angel clear as death. Omen, I guess you'd call it. We smoked a cigarette together down there, you know, half hour before his death.
Surprised at what, Jake?
Huh? Well, the brake slipped on his chair, don't you think? You figure he was unconscious when it happened.
We don't even know that. Look, we're leaving. I only asked...
His own fault in one way. Had a fixation on that place, he did. Ought to be the devil's grotto, I always claimed. Or maybe we could blast the marble, make a quarry.
You see me, Mr. Valentine?
Oh, yes, Mr. Moraga. Look, Jake, do you mind...
Yeah, sure, Mr. Valentine, sure. Got to see about...
Mr. Moraga, testimony showed that last night your brother called you vice president in charge...
In charge of gas and wind. Yeah. Old Johnny was the only one had any brains or...
Are you part owner of the Moraga Steel Mills, or just a paid employee?
You mean am I just the boss's brother? Yeah. Yes, if you like.
Uh-huh. And now that he's dead,
Aren't you leaving, Mr. Valentine? Oh, no, don't get me wrong. Jake and I, we appreciate what you've done. But also we're tired of everybody looking cross-eyed at the guys who benefit. I should have told that nurse she was being officious to get you up here in the first place.
She was badly upset.
Well, so am I. Johnny was my brother. These little nurses get more conscientious the richer the patient is.
Oh, how dare you!
Mary, listen to me.
What in the
I
name...
will not, and I won't leave here until
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you, but you can't talk like that to me.
I'll talk any way I please. I've been here 15 years. I'll call you all the names I can.
I said stop it.
All right, Nursey, now cut it out. Cut it out. What'd she do to you, Mary?
Huh? What'd she do?
Don't look at me that way.
Hey, easy, please.
Huh. Miss Flood. Know what she was up to, Mr. Moraga? She was firing me. Yes. She fired me.
You
what?
Now, look here, Miss Flood. You've been
Take
fighting
it easy, will you? Here, Emily, you're all right.
It was the way she looked. The way she... I'm sorry, Mary. I didn't mean
You
to...
see, Mr. Moraga, I happened to overhear this young lady and a policeman talking.
No.
You just found out the nurse is really a wife, eh, Mary?
What's that, George?
Just guessing. But it would explain why she could try to fire you, Mary. Why you laughed at the word miss. Not to mention some things John Moraga said last night. Or why just a nurse should be so curious and hire me
You
and
mean
try...
this mousy little
Yes.
flat-heeled...
Yes. We were married a week ago in Florida. I did tell the police, Mr. Valentine. I wanted to tell you, but I wanted to wait until... Oh, just because I'm his nurse and he was wealthy. Just because... Stop looking at me like that.
Nobody's looking any way they shouldn't.
I wondered what his big announcement today was going to be. What made that hot-headed sucker want to sell his business, cut us off, go gallivanting off?
Get out of here! Every one of you! This is my house now. Get out!
You married a week and now he's dead.
Yes. He's dead. He's dead. Don't look that way. Can't you understand? I loved him. And he loved me.
Don't give me that
Oh, I
hug.
wish I were dead, too. Leave me alone or I will be!
Yes. A good act.
Good act, Mr. Moraga? Are you changing your mind? I thought you were so sure your brother's death was an accident.
In just a moment, we will return to tonight's adventure of George Valentine. Tonight we present another first-hand report on new RPM motor oil, the oil that doubles engine life between major overhauls due to lubrication. Tonight you'll go with our scientists test by test as they explore the chemistry of motor oils with a new atomic tool in search of the formula for new RPM. By special transcription now, we take you to the Richmond laboratories of California Research Corporation. The next voice you hear will be Senior Research Engineer H.F. Galindo.
The test engines you hear running in the background are equipped with piston rings, which we had specially treated at the Oak Ridge plant of the Atomic Energy Commission. Geiger counters connected to these engines measure the fine particles of treated metal worn from the atomic ring as that wear takes place. We're using rigid temperature controls to get exact simulation of the toughest engine wear conditions your car gets. The normal, everyday short hops. The stop-and-go traffic driving. We call it cold operation. Two of my colleagues, Harold Vick, engine operator, and Jess Sanders, lead engine mechanic, have filled the crankcase of each of our test engines with a different experimental motor oil formula. These experimental oils, by the way, are a few of the hundreds actually used during nearly 2 years of development. Now let's listen to the Geiger counters as they click off the performance of one of our earlier formulas compared with a recent one. Bear in mind that the slower the counter clicks, the less the wear that is taking place. No, that's too fast. Too much wear. That formula couldn't do the job. Now listen to this. It's slowed way down. Yes, that's it. Hear the very slow, measured clicking of the Geiger counter? That oil formula hit an all-time low count on wear rate. It's the one which eventually proved to be the best. The one which, after lots of road testing, we finally released as the new RPM.
The new RPM, an oil so superior that it doubles engine life between major overhauls due to lubrication. It's yours today at independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations where they say and mean we take better care of your car. And now back to tonight's adventure of George Valentine. Angel's Grotto, a place of great beauty, a place where a man fell 200 feet to his death on the rocks below. A man in a wheelchair sitting alone in the moonlight. But, according to the police, that death was an accident. There's no further reason for you to stay around. Still, if your name is George Valentine, well, what can you do except stall for time, pretend you can't start your car?
Say, look, Jake, is there some rope around here? I may need it when the mechanic comes to give me a tow.
Yeah, in the shed over there. Help yourself.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Get out of the way. Good idea. So that fool Emily won't hang herself. Ah, there's a good one.
Come on, Brooksy. Let the rest of them think we've gone. You realize how short our time is?
You mean what he just said about Emily? George, I want to go back in and
No,
talk to her.
Brooksy, we got to find evidence before somebody else gets murdered. These are the tracks, all right, Brooksy. Here's where the wheelchair stood.
George, you and the police went over it inch by
Well,
inch.
Jake gave me an idea. He was wondering earlier if John Moraga was conscious when he fell, remember?
Yes.
Okay, now look, I'm John Moraga. I'm in a wheelchair, see, and I'm sitting here. I'm a strong guy.
Strong? George, John had been laid up for 6 months.
Well, that's not long enough to break down a dynamo like him. The point is, when he was sitting here, it would have been pretty hard to take him by surprise.
You mean somebody slugged him first?
I don't know. There's no sign of a struggle. Police thought he might have fallen asleep.
George, suppose he'd been drugged.
Huh?
I mean, remember that wine last night at supper?
Oh, yeah, I thought of that. But it's like everything else. Nothing left to show. Nothing left but the tracks of the 2 wheels here. And hey, Brooksy, look. They just go in practically a dead straight line all the way out to the edge and over. Okay, Brooksy, throw me that rope there.
Oh, George.
It's all right now. It's all right. This tree will hold me.
George.
Just take it easy, will you? There we are. This is one thing we didn't check.
But they combed every rock down below there.
When I kicked that rock loose this afternoon, remember what happened? It bounced. Okay, I'll find out what happened last night, and I won't bounce either. I hope. Hey, Brooksy. I can see the angel from down here. Yeah, it really does look like one, you know. A crossbar to...
George, your rope's twisted.
I'm all right. There's some stuff to hang on to here. Angel of death, huh?
I can't even see you anymore.
Brooksy.
What'd you say, George?
Hey, not so loud, will you? I was just looking down before. It's a watch.
What?
No. Piece of watch chain. Sure. He did hit here before he dropped to the rocks. I thought so. The way the cliff curves out, it's...
Don't go any farther. What if he did lose part of his watch chain? It doesn't tell you anything
about... doesn't it? Hooked on a little twig, some scrub trees here growing in a crevice. Well, you know, it doesn't have any bark. Yeah, that's right. 2 places here, no bark. I'll tell better in the daylight. But, Brooksy, there are kick marks, too. He grabbed here as he fell. Must have hung on for some time, several minutes maybe, before his strength gave out.
Somebody's coming, George.
Hey, I called you, but I didn't hear you answer.
Well, I went to see George. Listen.
Listen to what?
It's gone now.
Okay, come on. Get this rope out of sight. Here, duck back here.
Yeah.
In the bushes. That's better.
Oh, George, I hate high places. It's crazy.
But I learned something, Brooksy. The fact he clung there proves John Moraga was conscious. He couldn't have grabbed on there unless he was perfectly all right when he went over.
He wasn't slugged, doped, anything.
Just pushed.
But those straight line tracks...
Well, I can think of a person he might have trusted. Never guess what was going to happen until the last minute.
Oh, George. Any of them could have come down here without being seen. His shouts when he was hanging there wouldn't have been heard.
Oh, Brooksy, look, stop evading it. You know who I'm talking about. All those tears don't hide her motive.
George, I just can't believe that a girl would...
Yeah. You see what I see? Little Emily.
George, she's crying. That's what I heard before.
Yeah. Walking like she didn't know where she was.
George, she were dead, too. She was hysterical, but she said
I'm like Jake. I didn't take it seriously.
She's going where we were. George, grab her.
No, stop.
Emily?
Oh, you startled me.
Oh? I didn't mean to.
It's Herman.
Beautiful night, isn't it?
Mr. Moraga.
What are you doing down here, anyway?
You know, don't you? Why do you ask?
Oh, well, I didn't believe it. Good-looking girl like you with her head on her shoulders would seriously think of carrying out a threat
You
like...
think I'm ugly. We said so. A stupid, flat-heeled nurse.
Uh-huh. Oh, well, really, it isn't
No,
anything...
stay where you are. I don't think there's room for both of us here, Mr. Moraga.
All right.
I loved your brother. I love John. I'm 35. I'm not pretty. I know what I am. But he loved me, too.
Now.
Please don't touch me. Don't come any closer.
Oh, it's all right. I know how you feel. It was an accident.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, just an accident, that's all.
I told you, don't touch me.
Well...
You big You walked right into it, didn't you?
Look out, my arm.
I've handled patients 10 times as tough as you are.
My arm. Look out, the edge.
Believe what I said, didn't you? Believe I'd come down here and be thinking of jumping when it's you who's going to go.
Come on, Dusty, step on it. He's the one who's liable to be killed.
I'll be yours.
Get back here, I said. Get back.
Let go of me!
Okay, sister.
Hey, what happened? What is it?
All right. Take it easy, all of you.
Good Lord, what's the matter with
She's all
her?
right, George. Let go. Leave me alone.
She would have killed me. She was trying to push me.
I know. We saw
We
it
thought
all.
it was going to be the other way around.
Oh?
It never occurred to me. She has the same motive for getting rid of you, Mr. Moraga. You're the only real brother. You're in her way, too.
Herman, for the love of Pete, what the crazy little fool...
I thought that you...
Shove me. So she
All
tried
right, will
to
you
do
please
such-
stop it? Yeah, that's right. We prevented a murder. Now I can prove it. Murder number 2.
Hey, did you find out something?
Mr.
Lady,
Valentine.
will you stop crying for 1 minute, please? I didn't say you killed your husband. You didn't kill John Moraga.
George.
Emily, the tragedy we prevented tonight was you killing for vengeance because you thought the murder would never be solved.
Herman did it. I was sure.
The police couldn't find any clues for you, but you were like I was. You knew it had to be murder, and so you tricked Herman into following you down here. The only trouble was when you tried to take the law in your own hands, you picked the wrong person.
What?
Yeah, that's right. He didn't do it. He's demonstrated that pretty well right now, hasn't he? Only, what's your name, Cook? Mary?
Oh.
Did you ever see the angel?
Did I? What?
Come on, the angel in the rocks. You've lived around here 15 years, you said. You've heard the legend.
Oh, that. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
There's no angel in the rocks, Valentine. Let's
Oh,
just
yes, there is. Because I saw it. John Moraga said he saw it, too.
Oh, no, he
After
didn't.
you left him down here, Emily, he supposedly said it while smoking a cigarette. With you, Jake.
Now, wait a minute. I never said
Oh, yes, you did.
I remember it, George.
And that was your mistake. Because, Buster, that angel turns out to be a real angel of death. You can't see that rock formation from any place except halfway down a straight cliff. No wonder the Indians had a legend. So when could John possibly have seen it except when he was climbing down there after he'd been shoved, clinging there, hanging there? Why did John scream out that he saw the angel? Was he pleading with you to help him? And did you just stand there and laugh at him, Jake?
No, you're crazy. Me, I'm just a farmer. I don't...
Sure, you're a big, strong guy. And that's why the tracks of the wheelchair were nice and straight, Brooksy. A man strong enough could just tip it back, load and all, and give it a roll.
Now, you listen to me. I was up with that setter of mine. I was clean out in the barn. Mary, help me.
Mary, do you know what the penalty is for providing a false alibi in a murder case?
No, I don't even know what you're
You'd
talking
better tell me fast, lady, how many of those puppies you delivered.
Mr. Valentine.
How much of that 2 hours Jake really spent with you in that barn?
Hey, get her. She's running.
No, we'll get her all right.
I don't believe anything that dumb old thing...
That's all, Jake.
Angel's Grotto. And the angel really did solve it.
Well, Brooksy, the weak-kneed accomplice didn't help Jake much.
But Mary wasn't really mixed up in
But
it.
she started the ball rolling. Nothing else he could do but confess after that. I suppose she wanted to keep the farm as much as he did. And Moraga was going to take it away, sell everything.
Mm-hmm. And to think it all started with our being fired. Emily tried to do it the right way, George. She hired you to find evidence of what she thought had happened.
And by woman's intuition. So, just on the basis of that, she tries to play angel of destruction, of vengeance.
It was crazy and wrong. But she loved John Moraga. Those tears were all true. She told us how much she loved him. First and only love of her life. I could tell. And he loved her just as much.
I know. Love, love, love. Hey, how come you're such an authority on the subject, Brooksy?
With you around, I'll be darned if I know.
Tonight you heard firsthand how new RPM motor oil was developed years ahead of its time. Only the new atomic research tools of our scientists could make possible this remarkable motor oil progress. Here's what it means to you. Compared with the best of conventional premium type oils, as designated by the American Petroleum Institute, new RPM cuts in half the wear rate of critical engine parts, doubles engine life between major overhauls due to lubrication. It maintains the low oil consumption mileage of average engines twice as long, and it doubles protection against acid, corrosion, gummy carbon, and varnish. Stop in for new RPM, sold with a money-back guarantee of satisfaction at standard stations and independent Chevron gas stations, where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. Tonight's adventure of George Valentine has been brought to you by Standard Oil Company of California on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West. Robert Bailey is starred as George with Virginia Gregg as Brooksy. Let George Do It is written by David Victor and Jackson Gillis and directed by Don Clark. Jeanette Nolan was heard as Emily, Larry Dobkin as Herman, Bob Griffin as Jake, Bill Boucher as John, and Noreen Gamil as Mary. The music is composed and presented by Eddie Dunstetter. Your announcer, John Heaston. Listen again next week, same time, same station, to Let George Do It. Children who need neighborhood centers for places to play need your community chest contributions. Help keep youngsters off the streets, out of trouble. Give generously to your community chest. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.
Welcome back. Well, this was a pretty good, straightforward whodunit story. And, of course, we heard that most familiar voice, Larry Dobkin, who really was one of the true great character actors, not just in radio, but over television. I say that and note that just because it was not 2 days ago we played an episode of Barrie Craig featuring Larry Dobkin. The guy was definitely indispensable in the era of radio and had a long career in television lasting well into the 1990s. So, very key person. Hear him a lot in radio. Well, we turn now to listener comments and feedback. And from Podcast Alley, we have a simple, greatly enjoy the shows. Well, we're glad you're enjoying the programs. Thanks so much for listening and for all your feedback. I encourage you to support our listener support campaign, support.greatdetectives.net. Fill out our listener survey, survey.greatdetectives.net. Well, our listener support campaign continues. Thank you so much to those who've given to support the show during this campaign. During the campaign, as usual, we will give access to our premium site, which includes all the app extras for both Dragnet and Great Detectives. And that is available for all donations of $7 or more. But in addition to that, those who provide more than $20 will provide some additional bonuses, including your choice of several colonial radio theater dramas, including The Wizard of Oz, Father Brown, and Treasure Island and King Solomon's Mine. And at the $50 level, we are pleased to offer Poirot radio plays and also digital downloads through Amazon Instant Video of select Poirot movies with David Suchet. All right, well, now it's time for today's episode of Sherlock Holmes. This one is called The Adventure of the Six Napoleons.
From New York City, the makers of Clipper Craft Clothes for Men and 1,036 leading retail stores from coast to coast present the world's most famous detective, Sherlock Holmes. Tonight's story, The Adventure of the Six Napoleons.
Come in, Mr. Harris, and take your usual chair there on the other side of the fireplace.
Now, before we become further involved in the adventure which had to do with 6 Napoleons and a rather gory murder, suppose you say a few well-chosen words on a subject on which you have become almost as much of an authority as I am on the subject of the exploits of Sherlock Holmes.
With pleasure, Dr. Watson. As a matter of fact, it's almost as much of a pleasure to recommend Clippercraft clothes as it is to wear them. Say, are you in the market for a new suit of clothes? Well, Clippercraft believes you're entitled to the very most for your money, even today in this era of high prices. That's good business for you, naturally, and it's good business for us, too. We've planned it that way by applying scientific American production methods to the fine old craft of clothes making. It's the great Clippercraft plan, concentrating the buying power of 1,036 of the nation's finest stores from coast to coast, providing year-round economies in manufacturing and distribution costs, and delivering the savings to you. That's why at a friendly independent store in your community, you get beautifully tailored, fine-fitting, expensive-looking Clippercraft suits for only $40 and $45. Top coats, too, in fine coverts and worsted gabardines for only $40 and $45, and sport jackets at only $26.50. The values are downright amazing. Compare them tomorrow with clothes selling for many dollars more. And now, Dr. Watson, to return to your specialty, the adventures of Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Yes, I must say it's an enthusiasm I seem to share with a great many friends and critics. As you probably know, there is a collection of erudite gentlemen all over the United States of America who are ardent Sherlock Holmes admirers, and who call themselves the Baker Street Irregulars. Why, would you believe it? They even argue with me about the accuracy of some of my stories.
Do they ever win the arguments, Dr. Watson?
You know, Holmes always said I had a weakness for embroidering a tale. But that's neither here nor there. So here's tonight's adventure, the 6 Napoleons.
6 Napoleons? Why, good grief, Doctor. I should think one gentleman of that caliber was all the world could stand at a time. Or is it the name of an acrobatic troupe?
No, Mr. Harris, it's something even more unusual. As you may have gathered, Inspector Lestrade of Scotland Yard was a frequent visitor of ours in the old Baker Street days. Between him and Sherlock Holmes there was a friendly rivalry. His calls were welcome because they enabled us to keep in touch with things at Scotland Yard. In return for this news, Holmes was sometimes able, without any active interference, to give some valuable hint on the solution of a crime.
The word isn't sometimes, Dr. Watson. It's frequently.
Possibly. On the particular evening I'm referring to, Lestrade had come in wearing a preoccupied look. He spoke casually of the weather and the newspapers. Then he fell silent, puffing thoughtfully on one of his atrocious cigars. Holmes looked at him keenly.
Nothing remarkable on hand, I suppose, Lestrade?
No, nothing in particular.
Then tell me about it.
Well, Holmes, there's no use denying there is something on my mind.
Fancy that.
Quiet, Watson. Well, Lestrade, out with it. Has the Bank of England been threatened, or has someone stolen the doormat at Scotland Yard?
Well, as a matter of fact, the business is so absurd that I hesitate to bother you about it. On the other hand, though trivial, it is undoubtedly queer, and I know you have a taste for anything that's out of the common. In my humble opinion, it comes more in Dr. Watson's line than in ours.
Oh, you mean disease?
Well, madness, anyway, and a queer sort of madness, too. You'd hardly think anyone living in this day and age would have such a hatred of Napoleon that he felt compelled to break any image of him that he saw.
Is that all? That sort of nonsense is no business of mine.
Exactly, that's just what I said, but when the man commits burglary in order to satisfy his craving for breaking images, that takes it out of the doctor's province and into ours.
Burglary, eh? That's more interesting. Give us the details, that's a good chap.
Well, so far there have been 4 cases. Numbers 1 and 2 were reported 4 days ago. It was at the shop of Morse Hudson, who sells pictures and statues in the Kennington Road. The assistant had left the shop for a few moments when he heard a loud crash, hurried back and found 2 plaster busts of Napoleon lying shivered into fragments. He rushed out into the road, but couldn't find the culprit, although several passers-by declared they had noticed a man run out of the shop.
How much were the busts worth?
Only a few shillings.
Well, I thought you said there was a robbery. That's just one of those senseless acts of hooliganism which are becoming more and more prevalent.
The third and fourth cases were more serious.
Yes?
Yes. They occurred only last night. In Kennington Road, and within a few hundred yards of Morse Hudson's shop, lives Dr. Barnacle, a well-known medical practitioner.
By Jove, yes, I've heard of him. He has one of the largest practices on the south side of the Thames.
Don't interrupt, Watson.
Well, his residence and principal consulting rooms are in Kennington Road, but he has a branch surgery at Lower Buxton Road, 2 miles away. Dr. Barnacutt's an enthusiastic admirer of Napoleon and had recently purchased from Morse Hudson 2 duplicate plaster casts of the famous head of Napoleon by the French sculptor Devine. One of these he placed in his home, and one in the surgery in Buxton Road.
Well,
when Dr. Barnacutt came down to breakfast this morning, he was astonished to find that the house had been broken into during the night, and still more astonished to discover that the only thing taken was the plaster head of Napoleon. It had been carried out and shattered against the garden wall.
This is beginning to be interesting. And the fourth case?
At 12 o'clock, when Dr. Barnacutt arrived at his surgery, he found the window broken and fragments of the fourth bust strewn all over the room. And there's no clue as to the criminal's identity. Those are the facts, Mr. Holmes.
Singular, not to say grotesque. Were the 2 busts smashed in Dr. Barnacutt's rooms exact duplicates of the ones destroyed in Morse Hudson's shop?
They were taken from the same mold.
That's a coincidence, eh, Holmes?
Yes, and it tells against the theory that the man who breaks these busts is influenced by a general hatred of Napoleon.
How do you make that out, Mr. Holmes?
Considering how many hundreds of statues of the great emperor must exist in London, it's too much to suppose that a promiscuous iconoclast would chance to begin with 4 specimens from the same mold.
I thought that way myself at first, but on the other hand, this Morse Hudson's the only purveyor of busts in that part of London, and these 4 were the only ones of Napoleon that have been in his shop for years. Therefore, it seems logical that a local fanatic would begin with them. What do you think, Dr. Watson?
Well, there are no limits to the possibilities of monomania, Lestrade. For example, there is the condition which the French psychologists call the idée fixe, which may be trifling in character and accompanied by complete sanity in every other way. A man who had read deeply about Napoleon might conceivably form such an idée fixe, and under its influence be capable of any fantastic outrage.
No, it won't do, my dear Watson. It won't do.
Oh, why not?
No idée fixe would enable your interesting monomaniac to find out where these busts are situated.
All right, then how do you explain it?
I don't attempt to do so, yet. But one thing is obvious. There's nothing abnormal about this bust smasher. There's too much method in his eccentric proceedings for that.
In what way?
But consider, in the Barnacutt house, where any sound might arouse the family, the bust was taken outside before being broken. Whereas in the surgery, where there was less danger of an alarm, it was smashed where it stood. The affair seems absurdly trifling, and yet some of my most classic cases have had the least promising beginnings. You'll remember, Watson, how the dreadful business of the Abernethy family was first brought to my notice by the depth which the parsley had sunk into the butter on a hot day. I can't afford to smile at your broken bust, Lestrade. On the contrary, Hello, what's that?
The front doorbell, of course. For a great detective, you do have your obtuse moments, Holmes.
Naturally, I know it's the front doorbell. What I want to know is why it's ringing in the middle of the night. Come in. Hello, Mrs. Hudson. What's the matter?
A policeman downstairs, sir, says Mr. Lestrade is wanted right away.
What's up now?
He said as how I was to tell you there'd been another bust busted. He said you'd know what he meant.
Becoming an epidemic.
Confounded, why couldn't they have waited till morning to rout me out?
He says you're to come right away because this time there's a murder.
Well, Mr. Harris, naturally, Holmes and I threw on our hats. I picked up my service revolver, and we dashed down the stairs with Lestrade panting behind us. Fortunately, a policeman had a cab waiting. We piled in hurriedly and drove off to Pitt Street, the scene of the crime. Holmes, Lestrade, and I dismissed our cab at the corner of the street. It was obvious that news of the murder had got around.
Here we are, Holmes, number 131 Pitt Street. That must be the house where the crime was committed.
Yes, and a first-class murder it must have been. Nothing less would draw such a crowd in the middle of the night. Notice the look of horrified delight in that messenger boy's face.
Here, let us through. Let us through, I say. We're from Scotland Yard.
Oh, it's the police.
Please. That's it.
Come in, gentlemen, come in. Ah, Mr. Lestrade, thank heaven you got here at last.
Well, if it isn't Mr. Horace Harker of the Central Press Syndicate.
It's an extraordinary thing, Lestrade. All my life I've been collecting other people's news. And now that a real piece of news has come my own way, I'm so confused and bothered that I can't put two words together. If I'd come in here as a journalist, I should have interviewed myself and had 2 columns in every evening paper.
Mr. Harker...
You remember when the Stand fell in Doncaster? Well, I was the only journalist in the Stand, and my journal was the only one that had no account of it, for I was too shaken to write it. And now I'll be too late again with a terrible murder done on my own doorstep.
You'd better tell us just what happened.
Wait a minute, I'll call my wife. She was with me. Minnie! Minnie! The police have come.
Oh, God be praised. What a night we've had. I was just saying to Horace, this is what comes of staying up late. If we'd been safe in our beds, we never should have heard the commotion.
Mr. Harker, may I present my friends Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes? How do you do?
Sherlock Holmes? Dearie me, is it as bad as all that? You see, Horace, I told you. Next thing you know, he'll be suspecting you of the murder.
Now, Mother.
I assure you, Mr. Harker, I am only here unofficially. Inspector Lestrade has charge of this case.
Well, that's a relief anyway. Oh, well, you see, Mr. Lestrade knows Horace, and that's something. Well, you understand. That is,
Of course. As a matter of fact, the thing that interests me most of all isn't the murder.
No?
No, it's the broken bust of Napoleon.
Yes, that's it. It all started with that bust. I never did like the man, Napoleon, and why Horace wanted a bust of him sitting in the living room,
No, Mother. But perhaps I'd better tell the gentleman just what did happen.
Yes, I suppose that would be a good idea.
As Minnie was saying, it all seems to center around that bust of Napoleon that I bought for this very room about 4 months ago.
Where did you purchase it, Mr. Harker?
From Morse Hudson's shop, Mr. Holmes, in Kennington Road. Uh-huh. Well, as you may know, gentlemen, a great deal of a journalist's work is done at night. I often write until the early morning.
Just ruining his health.
Now, Mother. Well, tonight I was sitting in my den, which is at the top of the house at the back. I'd almost finished my work, and Minnie was trying to get me to come to bed. Just a few minutes, Mother. I'm almost through.
But here it is after 12 again. What must the neighbors think, seeing your light burning all hours of the night?
What does it matter what they think?
Besides, you'll ruin your eyes.
No, Mother.
What is it you've got to sit up for this time?
It's a new column we're running, Mother. Advice to the Lovelorn by Gwendolyn Desmond.
Advice to the Lovelorn? Well, that's indecent. A man writing things like that.
I know, Mother, but better a married man than a single man. Oh. If I don't do it, they probably get that young whippersnapper Jones, and Lord only knows the things he'd think up with what... What's that?
Burglars. I know it's burglars.
Nonsense, Mother. It's probably just the cat. She's knocked something off the mantelpiece.
No, I'm sure it's burglars.
Very well. I'll go down and see.
Horace Harker, you're not going down there.
Well, how else can I find out if it's the cat or burglars that made that noise?
But they'll kill you.
Nonsense. Give me the poker.
Oh, dear, I wish you wouldn't.
Now, you stay here. I'll be right back.
Stay here? By myself? No, sir, I'm coming too.
All right, Mother, but let go my coattails.
I can't. My knees are all of a tremble. Don't go so fast, Horace.
Mother, don't talk so loud. If it is burglars, you'll scare them off.
That's just what I'm trying to do.
Well, here we are. You see? It's just something that fell off the mantelpiece.
Oh, the hand-painted bonbon dish that Aunt Susie gave us for a wedding present. Smashed to bits.
There. You see?
Look. Horace, look.
What's the matter?
The window's open. And that bust of Napoleon, it's gone.
What?
Horace, did you hear that?
Sounded like someone falling against the front door.
Oh, it's horrible. Oh, Horace, don't go.
Yeah, I've got to find out. Just a minute till I get the door open. Hello, there's something heavy pressing against it.
Heaven protect us.
That's it.
It's a man lying on the doorstep.
And his throat is slit from ear to ear.
Will it wear? Will it be comfortable? Is it correctly styled? Clippercraft Clothes answer these questions emphatically by delivering even today in this era of high prices the most amazing values you've ever seen. You'll wonder how it's done. Well, it's the great Clippercraft plan, which concentrates the buying power of 1,036 stores from coast to coast and delivers to you these beautifully styled, beautifully tailored clothes, including long-wearing worsteds, at a friendly local store you can trust. Fine Clippercraft suits that look much more costly are only $40 and $45. Top coats in fine coverts and worsted gabardine are only $40 and $45, and sport jackets are only $26.50. Yes, selling expensive clothes at inexpensive low prices at the nation's finest independent stores is the great big idea behind the Clippercraft plan. That's why men who know insist on Clippercraft clothes. So be sure to visit the Clippercraft store in your city.
These leading stores in the metropolitan area are proud to add their names to Clippercraft in your suit, top coat, and overcoat. In Manhattan, Saks 34th, Broadway at 34th. John Wanamaker Men's Stores, Broadway at 8th and 67 Liberty Street. In Brooklyn, Abraham and Strauss. In Newark, New Jersey, Boulevard Men's Shop, Kresge Newark. And in Jamaica, the B&B Clothes Shop, 16408 Jamaica Avenue.
And now, suppose we return to the house of Horace Harker, where Holmes is helping Inspector Lestrade to solve a bloodthirsty murder.
Did you know the murdered man, Mr. Harker?
No, Mr. Holmes, I did not. They've taken the body to the mortuary.
What did he look like?
Tall, dark, and powerfully built. Poorly dressed, but he didn't have the hands of a laborer. A horn-handled knife was lying in a pool of blood beside him. But whether it was his or whether it was the knife that did the deed, I don't know.
Anything in his pockets?
No card or letters of identification, if that's what you mean. Just an apple, some string, a shilling, a map of London, and a photograph. Here it is.
Excellent. A rather simian countenance, Watson?
Ugly-looking brute. And vicious, too, I should say.
Yes, but look here, Holmes. What's become of the bust?
Ah, the bust. Yes, of course, the bust. He wouldn't dare carry it very far. Someone might see him and identify him. Are there any empty houses around here, Mr. Harker?
There's one right next door.
No, that wouldn't do. Too dark. He had to have light. Dr. Barneycott's statue was found smashed in the passageway where the light from his front door illuminated it.
There's just one other vacant house in this block, Mr. Holmes. Fifth to the right, under the street light.
Excellent. That must be the one. Come, Watson. Let's see what we can find.
Wait a minute. I'm coming too.
Very well.
Oh, but you must come back, Mr. Holmes, all of you. You must be famished. Dear me, where's my sense of hospitality? I'll go and put the kettle on right away.
Splendid. We'll be back before it's had a chance to come to a boil. Fifth to the right under the streetlight. That was what Harker said, wasn't it?
Yes, but I must say, Holmes, I don't see what you can expect to find. It seems to me
Just as I thought. There's the fifth bust, lying shattered in shards upon the grass.
Destructive brute.
I'd give a great deal to know if he found what he was looking for.
What do you mean?
I can't explain now, but suppose we all meet at Baker Street tomorrow night directly after dinner, and I think I can promise you an exciting evening.
You're on the murderer's trail?
Quite. In the meantime, you, Lestrade, see if you can discover the dead man's identity, while I inquire into the manufacturing of those busts and see if I can trail the ruffian in the photograph.
That's right. Pick the most exciting chore for yourself.
And the most dangerous. Don't forget that, Lestrade.
Watson, don't quibble. We have a long way to go, and yet we've discovered some rather significant facts tonight.
I must say I don't see anything particularly significant.
In the first place, breaking the bust was not the sole object of tonight's criminal.
Well, how do you know?
If it had been, he'd have broken it inside the house or immediately outside. In the second place, the possession of this trifling bust was worth more in his eyes than a human life. Yes, I think I'm beginning to understand what he was after. Well, Lestrade, how about another cup of coffee?
No, thanks. 2 cups is enough for any man. I'm not the coffee addict you are.
What a pity. It might stimulate the brain.
Now, look here, Holmes. You may think you see your way clear in this matter, but I have my own ideas.
Yes?
Yes. The dead man was Pietro Venucci. They knew him down at the Yard, all right. He was one of the greatest cutthroats in London, a member of an Italian Black Hand Society, too.
How reprehensible.
A society that punishes its offending members by death. Well, this chap in the photograph was probably a member, too. The whole thing's just one of those Italian feuds.
How simple. But where do the busts come in? And was it just a coincidence that the murdered man was working in the shop of Morse Hudson?
I don't see why the busts have to be brought into the question of the murder.
Oh, but they do, Lestrade. Those busts contain the motive for the murder.
Oh, that sounds like plain lunacy, if you ask me.
No, it's really quite simple. I found this morning at Mr. Morse Hudson's shop that the murdered man had been an employee of his for the last 6 months, previous to which time he'd worked for the firm of Gelder and Company, the firm which molded those busts of Napoleon which someone had been so avidly smashing.
Yes, but Gelder and Company are an old firm. They must have made thousands of busts of Napoleon.
Quite, but it's only the 6th of this particular batch with which we're concerned.
I must say I still don't see.
Naturally. Well, one afternoon over a year ago, the very afternoon those 6 busts had come from the mold, and while they were still wet, in fact, Beppo, another employee, was chased into the workshop by the police. It seems he'd tried to knife Pietro in a street brawl.
Beppo? But who was Beppo?
Oh, didn't I tell you?
No.
Dear me, how absent-minded of me. Beppo was the man in the photograph. The man he tried to knife that day, as you know, was the same fellow found dead on Harker's doorstep last night.
You see, I told you it was a feud.
The most curious part of the incident is that Beppo was holding something very carefully in his hand when he ran into the workroom. And yet, when the police overtook him, they discovered nothing of any interest on him. Beppo was taken off to prison, of course, and was released 2 weeks ago, the day before the first 2 busts were smashed.
Yes, but Holmes, look here. You said there were 6 busts in that particular batch. So far, only 5 have been smashed. Where's the other one?
The sales book of Mr. Morse Hudson shows that it was sold over a month ago to Mr. Joseph Brown of Laburnum Lodge, Chiswick. And now, suppose we pay that worthy gentleman a visit. If luck's with us, it should be an interesting evening.
Yes, but Holmes, isn't it a bit late to go calling? Perhaps Mr. Brown's gone to bed.
I hope so, Watson. I sincerely hope so.
Holmes is going to storm any minute. Can't we come back some other time?
No, Watson. The gentleman we're after is not to be put off by a little unpleasant weather. He must finish his quest as soon as possible. He doesn't dare delay for fear the police will be on his trail. I only hope he hasn't been successful already.
Here we are. This gate says Laburnum Lodge. This is the house.
No lights. Mr. Brown has gone to bed. I knew it.
Good. We won't rouse him. Suppose we confine ourselves to an inspection of his shrubbery.
But look here,
Someone's coming along the road. Quick, get behind this hedge.
But I will...
Yes, he's opened the gate. He's coming in here.
Possibly Mr. Brown coming home from a lodge meeting.
No, Mr. Brown's probably accustomed to using the front door.
All right. He's trying to get in a window.
By Jove, it's a burglar.
And a very expert one, too. He broke the lock like a veteran.
He's going in. Hadn't we better follow him?
No. We'll get him on his way out after he's found what he's after.
That storm's going to break any minute now.
Here he comes. He's got something white under his arm.
Get ready.
Get him!
Chi siete? Che cosa volete da me? Lasciatemi stare! Lasciate
his knife!
No, you don't. Drop it. Drop it, I say. That's better. All right, put the handcuffs on him, Lestrade.
Yes, sir. He's a tough one, he is.
Gentlemen, allow me to present Beppo, one of Italy's master criminals. So you did want the 6th Napoleon, eh? Don't want to talk? Very well.
So, this is the man who committed last night's murder, eh?
Yes, this is the murderer and the bust smasher.
Well, now that you've got the 6th Napoleon, what are you going to do with it?
Lend me your topcoat and I'll show you.
Oh, very well.
Oh, but first come over to the street light.
Come along, you. You know what's good for you.
Che cosa volete?
Come along.
Non ho fatto nulla. Non so niente.
Now, first, I wrap the bust in Watson's coat so we won't lose any of the splinters. Then I follow Beppo's procedure and smash it against the lamppost. So...
Look here, that's my best top coat. You'll ruin it.
Now, we spread the coat on the ground and look among the fragments.
Lei frammenti. No, maledizione, no, la perla è mia. La perla nera è mia, è mia, è mia.
Our friend Beppo seems to be rather excited.
Damela.
Keep him at a distance, Lestrade. I don't want him to do any snatching.
Stand back now, you...
Come on. Now, let me see. No. No. Yes, by Jove, here it is.
Why, it's a tremendous black pearl.
Yes, Watson. The famous black pearl of the Borgias, stolen from a museum in Florence 2 years ago. Devilishly beautiful, isn't it?
Well, that was an exciting discovery, Dr. Watson. But look, there are 1 or 2 points I don't understand. How did Pietro figure in the story? Why did they quarrel? How did the pearl get into the bust of Napoleon?
That pearl had been stolen by Beppo and Pietro. They quarreled, and Beppo tried to kill the other chap. He had the pearl in his hand when the police broke up their fight. He ran into the workroom and buried the pearl in one of the soft busts of Napoleon standing on the workroom table. From that time, the feud was on. Lestrade was right there. Each one was determined to get the pearl. Pietro didn't know where the pearl was hidden, and Beppo was in jail, so the odds were fairly even until Beppo got out. Pietro knew his only chance was to shadow Beppo, which he did, and met his death.
And that disposed of both of them very neatly. And now, Dr. Watson, do you think you'd like to give us an idea about next week's story?
I think I could be persuaded, Mr. Harris. I think I could be persuaded. Let me see. Next week, I think I'll take you down to the Port of London, where Holmes and I discovered a fantastic East Indian temple among the wharves and warehouses. There, in front of a hideous idol, we ran into our old friend, Professor Moriarty. I call it the adventure of the serpent god. My hair, what's still left of it, stands on end when I remember it.
The makers of Clipper Craft Clothes and 1,036 leading stores from coast to coast have brought you another in the new series of broadcasts featuring the world's most famous detective, Sherlock Holmes. Our stories are based upon the character of Sherlock Holmes, created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes is played by John Stanley, Dr. Watson by Alfred Shirley, and the dramatizations are by Edith Meiser. Sherlock Holmes is produced and directed by Basil Lochran, with special music by Albert Berman. If you don't know your Clipper Craft dealer, write Clipper Craft, 200 Fifth Avenue, New York City. Be sure to listen next week to Sherlock Holmes in the Adventure of the Serpent God. This is Cy Harris speaking for Clipper Craft Clothes. This is the world's largest network serving more than 450 radio stations and mutual broadcasting systems.
Well, I guess it's not too big of a surprise, welcome back, by the way, that the better episodes of Sherlock Holmes seem to be, particularly in this series, all based on the Arthur Conan Doyle stories. And this one, a good adaptation of a classic puzzle, so definitely enjoyed this one more than some of the others in recent weeks. Well, we turn now to listener comments and feedback. Talia tweets, I can't wait until Poirot. Oh, that's right. We are only about 12 days away from the first episode, so definitely be listening to that. We're going to have some fun. The series may not be beloved by everyone, but I think it's a pretty good take on it, and it's similar to the New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes in that these are not usually are not stories from the traditional Agatha Christie stories, but new adventures with Poirot. So some interesting results, and I'm looking forward to that as well. Errol McGinty comments, I've been listening to your show via podcast for a little while. Mainly I listen while driving long distance. I found you on Facebook. I mainly listen to to Sherlock Holmes and Dragnet, but I also like Gunsmoke. My question is this. I used to listen to The Lone Ranger. Is that part of any of the shows that you host? No. I'm thinking the program you may be thinking of is Andrew Rhine's Old Time Radio Westerns program. Andrew does edit our sound, and he's got a real love of the westerns in the old West. I've been listening to a couple of different shows and starting to get into those. OTRWesterns.com. He's got Gunsmoke, Lone Ranger, Fort Laramie, Cavalcade of America, and quite a few others. OTRWesterns.com, and he will get you situated with some great westerns. Over on Facebook, Alfred, Post on the Wall, great stuff. Well, thanks so much, Alfred. I'm glad you're enjoying it. You can follow us on Facebook, up to 1,180 friends, facebook.com/Radio Detectives. Well, today's episode of The Great Detectives of Old Time Radio is brought to you by the support of our listeners, and we're continuing our listener support campaign. And due to a commitment I had on Tuesday, one of my normal recording days, I've actually recorded the first 4 shows this week, Saturday and Sunday. So this is first time I've recorded an episode in the last 5 days. So we do have some donations to mention to you. Brian sent along a donation, and we sent him a gift certificate to Amazon to purchase the Amazon Instant Video version of Hickory Dickory Dock. Lise sent along a donation, as did Stephen and Val. And we sent Val a copy of Perry Mason and The Case of the Velvet Claws, available through Audible.com. And during the special listener support campaign, which runs through March the 3rd, we not only send out the donate. Oh, and I should also mention we received a donation from Shad. We not only send out the access to the premium site, which we do with all donations of $7 or more anyway, but we also offer a special bonus thank you gift. And for any donation of $20 or more, and you can choose one gift from the great list we have over there, depending on your donation level. So you can go to support.greatdetectives.net, see everything that's available, and you can donate there by PayPal. If you'd like to donate by U.S. mail, just send me an email, box13@greatdetectives.net, and I will send you my mail-in address. All right, well, it's time for rehearsal. I believe it is the very last rehearsal we have for Johnny Dollar. This one is called the San Antonio Matter. Let's go ahead and we'll take a listen.
From Hollywood, it's time now for John Lund as Johnny Dollar.
Ed Quigley, Johnny. Are you free?
You mean, am I available? Yeah. What's up, Ed?
Remember Mark San Antonio?
The bootlegger? Yeah, sure. What about him?
Well, somebody shot him this morning. Shot him to death in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh, yeah?
Great Eastern Fidelity set up a trust 2 years ago for San Antonio's daughter. They want a full report before they come across.
I see. They know who killed him yet or why?
No, not a thing, Johnny. Just that he's dead. When can you leave?
As soon as I can get a plane.
Good.
John Lund in another transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Great Eastern Fidelity and Life Insurance Corporation. 6th and Jordan Avenue, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the San Antonio matter. Expense account item 1, $162.03. Transportation and incidentals, Hartford to St. Petersburg, Florida. I arrived exactly 10 hours after I received the call from Ed Quigley. The rainy weather there was as bad, if not worse, than the weather I just left. I checked in at the St. Petersburg Hotel, shaved, showered, had a meal, and started in. My first contact was a police officer, Lieutenant Benjamin by name. A big, swarthy man who seemed to know what he was about.
I don't quite get this, Dollar. What's your file?
This is my insurance company. Would like a full report on everything that's happened.
Oh, you mean a report separate from what we have?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it's their dough. They can spend it any way they want it. What can I do for you?
Well, maybe we can help each other, Lieutenant. You'll sort of let me tag along and see what's what on the case.
We'll see. Well, San Antonio bought a big place over on the south end of town 11 years ago, just after he was released from Alcatraz. He's lived there since. Quiet, minding his own business, keeping his nose out of trouble.
Yeah, so I understand.
As long as a man does that, even a man with a background like San Antonio, as long as a man does that, we don't bother him, he doesn't bother us. Well, today was the first peep we ever got out of it.
What happened?
Seems at 6 o'clock this morning he phoned into the station and said that somebody was watching his house. Hanging around the front of his house. They got away just before the car showed up.
Mm-hmm. You give a description?
Yeah, both about 6 feet, dark, wore dark overcoats and hats. San Antonio didn't recognize either of them. The officers put the description on the air and tried to find them, but they didn't have any luck. Now, San Antonio wasn't the kind of a bird to get excited about a couple of guys staking out his place. He pretty well knew how to take care of himself and handle trouble.
Yeah, but you say that he hadn't been in trouble or asked for any around here.
That's right, too. And I'm sure he didn't want any either. So his call was treated like any other prowler call. We investigated, didn't find anything, and promised to keep our eyes open.
Mm-hmm.
The cook came on duty about 8:30. She went in the kitchen, made him some breakfast, took it up to his room, and she found him dead. He'd been shot twice with a Luger. The lab has the slugs now, the close-range job. Oh, here. From our coroner.
Oh, thanks. You say he was in the house alone all night?
Yeah, that's right.
How about the neighbors? Anybody hear anything or see anybody?
Well, we talked to the people who live in the house on the right side of him. They heard nothing. One on the left is vacant. Across the street, no one was of any help. My men are still trying to find a milkman or a paper boy or somebody like that who might be able to give us some information. It'll all take a while, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, then the surest bet is the 2 men that San Antonio reported watching his house. Huh?
Well, that's about it. Wish we could find them somewhere.
What about the cook?
She just worked their days fixing his meals and taking care of him. San Antonio must have been past 60.
He was 67.
I guess he was beginning to show a little tread. A man who's lived the kind of life he has and done the things he's done is bound to show some wear and wants some rest sometime in his life. According to her, he spent his days painting.
Painting?
Yeah.
Mark San Antonio?
Every room in the house covered with pictures he's done these last 2 years. Oil. Pretty good, too. And when he wasn't painting, he was listening to records. All kinds of heavy stuff in the way of music around the place. Now, you can hardly figure a bootlegger like San Antonio thinking of anything like music and art.
Hardly ever.
Yeah. Well, and all the time he was in action running booze up in New York and getting himself in trouble with the tax people, he was bound to step on a lot of toes and get himself a lot of enemies. The kind of people who wouldn't forget.
You talk to him much?
Oh, yes. Now and then I'd meet him on the street or in the store. He seemed pretty gentled up.
How'd he live?
Apparently he saved something from the old days. A house he paid for in cash. The bank in New York used to send him a statement every month. I suppose he had some arrangement with them. Well, that's about it so far.
I see. Well, I sure appreciate the information.
Okay. When I get any more, I'll let you know. I don't think this will be an easy one.
No, I wouldn't think so, Lieutenant.
Crime Lab's still working on some of the stuff in his room. Maybe we'll get something there.
Mm-hmm. Say, do you mind if I talk to that cook?
Oh, that's your privilege, Dollar. Her name's Olson. She's staying at the San Antonio house during all this.
Okay.
San Antonio's daughter blew into town this afternoon. She's at the house, too.
What did she have to say?
Oh, nothing. She didn't even know Mark San Antonio was her father until your insurance company told her.
Didn't know?
No. She's been living in Philadelphia all these years with an aunt. All very legitimate. The girl's been using the name Randall. Edith Randall.
I went back to my hotel and had some dinner. After that, I put in a phone call to Hartford and talked to Ed Quigley about the conditions of the trust fund set up by the insurance company. Then I shaved, changed clothes, and checked with the police once more. They hadn't located the two men that San Antonio had complained about, and the Luger slugs were still untraced. Expense account item 2, $2. Cab fare from my hotel to San Antonio's house. A gravel path led up to the residence.
Yes, sir.
How do you do? You Mrs. Olson?
Yes.
My name is Dollar, Mrs. Olson. I'm from the Great Eastern Fidelity people. I'd like to talk to you, if I may.
About Mr. San Antonio?
Yes.
Not right now, Mr. Dollar. Some other time.
Well, if you'd prefer it that way, Mrs. Olson. The sooner we make up a report... What happened? Long as you said it open.
We'll take it from 8, line 4, please.
8, line 4.
Music. I went back to my hotel and had some dinner. After that, I put in a phone call to Hartford and talked to Ed Quigley about the conditions of the trust fund set up by the insurance company. Then I shaved, changed clothes, and checked with the police once more. They'd not located the two men San Antonio had complained about, and the Luger slugs were still untraced. Expense account item 2, $2. Cab fare from my hotel to the San Antonio house. A gravel path led up to the residence.
Yes, sir.
How do you do? You Mrs. Olson?
Yes, sir.
My name is Dollar, Mrs. Olson. I'm from the Great Eastern Fidelity people. I'd like to talk to you, if I may.
About Mr. San Antonio?
Yes.
Well, not right now, Mr. Dollar. Some other time.
Well, you'd prefer it that way, Mrs. Olson. But the sooner we make up a report, the sooner we can finish what we have to do.
I know, sir. And I would talk to you, but this has been a tremendously hard day here. I mean, Mr. San Antonio's death and all of those policemen about, and now Miss San Antonio, Miss Randall here and all.
You suppose I could speak with Miss Randall?
Oh, I don't think so, sir. She's not feeling well. All of this is quite a shock to her.
I see. Well, then I guess my trip out here tonight was for nothing.
If you come tomorrow, Mr. Dollar, please, I'll speak with you tomorrow.
Miss Randall?
Yes, Miss Randall.
Who is it?
It's Mr. Dollar. He's from the insurance company.
Insurance company?
Yes.
I'd like to talk to him, Mr. Dollar.
The woman who stood at the base of the iron grille stairway was tall and dark-eyed. She came toward me smiling, showing a frank, wide, happy mouth. Young kind of face that should have been 20 or maybe 30. Mrs. Olson excused herself, and we were alone.
I wanted to talk to someone who might be able to give me a little more information about all this. It's all quite new to me.
Well, I'll tell you what I can, Miss Randall.
Yes, I'm sure you will. From what Mr. Hurst from the insurance office has told me on the phone, I'm to be quite well off because this man was murdered here today.
You mean Mr. San Antonio?
Yes, Mr. San Antonio. They tell me he was my father.
Yes, that's quite true.
Aunt Mary, who raised me, Told me that my father's name was Randall. And that he'd been killed with my mother in a boating accident. Poor thing. Must have been difficult for her over the years to keep that secret.
Well, perhaps she thought it the best thing. Same as he did.
Well, I'm quite certain that everyone did everything for the best. You awaken one morning and discover you're not one person, but an entirely different person. You're the daughter of a famous wrestler who's been murdered.
You seem to me like a very nice person.
And so do you, Mr. Barrie. Will you tell me all about this, please?
Well, just our part of it, Miss Randall. Let's see, you're 26 now, is that right?
That is.
Well, 26 years ago, your father was on trial for income tax evasion. Just before he was convicted, he set up a trust fund with my insurance company to provide for you. Been paying money for your support and education all these years. According to the condition of the trust, the rest of the money reverts to you now. Comes to well over $2,000.
And that's all there is to it?
Yeah, except for this.
You mean my father? So strange to say that. My father's murdered?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I'm grateful to my father. I suppose I should be grateful. I can't say that I'm particularly sorry about his death any more than I would be if any human being died violently somewhere. How strangely life treats us sometimes. Very strange. You know, you've somehow made me feel comfortable in this house. So I offer you a drink.
It was strange for me, too, because I felt comfortable in the house. Over the drinks, we talked with Mark San Antonio. I told her what I knew of his life, of his activities up until the time he'd been sent to Alcatraz. He told me how she'd been reared, far removed from anything that might have connected her in any way with the San Antonio name. Altogether, it was a revealing conversation for both of us. She'd never imagined any part of the kind of life her father had lived. And I never imagined that it was possible for anyone to get away from a man like San Antonio.
To the road, Johnny?
All right.
How long will you be in St. Petersburg?
All this is straightened out.
You mean you'll be here until they find out who killed it?
Mm-hmm. How about you?
I really don't know. I really don't even know why I came here exactly. I wanted to see him. See what he looked like. What kind of a life he had here.
Did you see it?
No. I suppose I can if I want to. But I have seen what kind of a life he had. He was such an ordinary man, wasn't he? Have you noticed the pictures he painted?
Mm-hmm. May I ask you something?
Well, yes.
How do you feel about him now?
Is this for your report?
Mm-hmm. For myself.
Since you've been here, in these last 2 hours, I've begun to think of him for what he was. My father, I mean. I'd like to know why he was killed and who did it. Will I see you again?
I hope so. Edith.
Yes.
I hope so very much.
You're right, John.
I left her at the door that night with a warm sensation inside of me. Something I certainly hadn't expected in the routine business of investigating a murder case. The next morning, I was back at the house talking to Mrs. Olson. She gave me all the information she could remember about San Antonio's activities up until the time of his death. Same information she'd given the police. All of it accurate, but lacking in any possible clues to the identity of his slayer or slayers. I had breakfast with Edith there and then went back downtown to spend a solid 12 hours in the company of Lieutenant Benjamin, who had still not located or identified the two mysterious men. However, there were other developments.
Hey, this may be something.
Oh?
San Antonio's partner in the old days, Palalici, was murdered in Newark last night.
Timmy Palalici?
That's the one.
Any details?
No, just that he was shot to death with a Luger.
When the slugs taken from San Antonio's body were compared with those that killed Palalici and were proved to have been fired from the same gun, the case took on new proportions. Every available bit of information regarding the two ex-big shots of the 20s was located, read, and reread. It meant activity in such cities as St. Louis, Chicago, New Orleans, and Buffalo. But no new information as to the identity of the killer.
Johnny.
Hey, what is it? You're shaking.
Hold me. Hold me, please. I suppose I'm being a terrible fool, my dog, Johnny. But they've been after me all day. It's cheap little thing. A newspaper sender that wants me to write my exclusive story is the daughter of Mark St. Antonio. Very precious daughter of Brackett.
Hey, now take it easy.
Even Hollywood called. Some producer saw my picture in the paper and offered me a contract. He said he had the script all ready. Women are fools. I shouldn't have shown up at all.
Then what would I have done?
And what would I have done? Mix yourself a drink, Johnny. I'll put on a new drink.
It had become apparent to me in the 5 days I'd known her, and the 5 days that she'd known of her father, that she'd grown to love him. The memory of him. He stated it very simply.
Everyone needs a father. If you find out you have one, or had one, really, you love him.
We were walking up the gravel path of the house when she said that. I suppose I was thinking of how nice it would be to kiss her at the door, when I heard someone behind me. I twisted, trying for the gun in my inside pocket, but there was nobody to shoot at. At least nobody I could see.
Johnny.
She was dying right there, and I lowered her to the ground.
We'll return to yours truly, Johnny Dollar, in just a moment. It's clear that if you're on hand for this show, you must admire men of action. Every Saturday, you'll find plenty of action, fact and fictional, here on CBS Radio when we bring you Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, and Gangbusters. Every Saturday evening, Edgar Rice Burroughs' celebrated man of action, Tarzan, brings you a new adventure tale straight out of darkest Africa. And later on Saturdays, Gangbusters reenact real manhunts undertaken by our own federal, state, and city police. Be listening tomorrow evening when Tarzan and Gangbusters come your way on most of these same stations. Presented by CBS Radio. Now, with our star John Lund, we bring you the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
10 seconds after Edith Randall died in my arms, I was stumbling down the gravel path that led from the house to the road. It all happened so suddenly and violently that I can't say that what I did from there on or what I felt was entirely rational. All I know is that a car was parked at the deep end of the gateway, and two men were just climbing into it. Hey, you two! Stop! 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 Get out of there. Both of you. Get out with your hands up.
I'm afraid.
Get out! Come on. All right, you two. Come on. Stay where you are.
What is it? What's happened?
Go phone the police, Mrs. Olson.
Oh,
Tell them to get over here right away.
Who are they? What is all
Go on, do what I tell you. Hurry.
All right, Mr. Banks. All right. Stop.
You pretty tough fella.
What's your name?
Federico.
Who's he?
Was my brother. Giovanni. And eat the doctor.
Listen. Tell it to me. Tell it to me right now. There's no policeman around to cover you. Nobody but you and me. If you don't tell it to me now, you'll never tell it to anybody. Now tell it. Tell it.
Never. I die first.
I had one bullet left in my gun. I set the barrel back against his temple and pulled back the hammer. I think I really meant to go through with it. And for the first time I noticed that my shoulder was covered with blood. My head began to ring, and I had to let go and straighten up. That was not the thing to do. Oh. Hello there, Dollar.
Huh? Oh, Lieutenant. Quite a night, this one, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you stopped one, boy. You were sure curled up when we got there.
Edith?
I'm sorry, Dollar.
I thought I might have been wrong.
No, you weren't.
How long am I slated for this place?
Well, the doctor says you can get out when you want to. Do you like talking?
They were just there, and they shot her. That's it.
Which one?
I don't know. They were together. That's enough, isn't it?
Sure. Same Luger that killed San Antonio and Palalici. We're trying to pin it down a little more. We can't get much out of the one that's left.
Let me ask him some questions, Lieutenant.
Easy. I know how you feel about it. Just lie back there now.
Did he say anything at all?
No, nothing more than his name and his brother's name. Found papers on him that say that in New York, police in New York are looking him up right now. So far, they haven't been able to find any connection with San Antonio. People like San Antonio and Palalici make enemies, but that girl doesn't figure. And those two flew here from New York just to get her.
Yeah.
Fella, you talked to her a lot in these last few days. What'd she say?
Nothing that has anything to do with this. You know yourself, she didn't even know who her father was till he got killed.
That could have been an act.
No, it wasn't. I knew her well enough to tell you that.
Why would they gun her down? Why the trip?
That Rico boy you're holding in the jail hospital has the answer. Get it from him.
We will, Dollar. We will. Oh, just a minute. Hey, Dollar.
Huh?
Maybe I spoke too soon. Rico died 5 minutes ago.
As far as my investigation in the San Antonio case went, could have ended right there. The Luger found in the dead Rico brother was the same gun that had fired fatal bullets into all 3 victims. I got my release from the hospital and late that afternoon walked into Lieutenant Benjamin's office.
Dollar, I don't get it.
Don't get what?
Here. This just came from New York on the Rico boys.
Oh?
Came to this country when they were 18 and 21. Both of them were naturalized citizens.
Records?
Not a thing. No trouble ever.
Oh, that's funny. What else?
No, that's about it. Police there can't seem to locate their old man. He disappeared a week ago. Lived on the east side somewhere.
He a naturalized citizen, too?
Well, that's another funny thing. He's taken out his papers and was due for examination with the immigration people this week. They're looking for him, too. When are you leaving?
Tomorrow afternoon on the 1 o'clock train.
Well, come on. I'll buy you some dinner.
We had dinner together and talked about the case. It had been a strange one. The deaths were useless, the motives unknown. The killers weren't even associated with their victims. I parted company with Lieutenant Benjamin and went back to my hotel to trouble it out with sleep. About 11 o'clock, I had a phone call. Johnny Dollar.
Hi, Dollar. This is Ben.
Oh, what's up?
Old man Rico just walked into the city morgue. Wants to take his 2 sons back to New York for burial.
20 minutes later, I was standing in the coroner's office when Lieutenant Benjamin led a small, wizened old man into the room and sat him down in one of the chairs. Gave him a glass of water, offered him a cigarette. Old man refused.
No, senor. No. Oh, thank you.
Mr. Rico, this is Mr. Dollar.
Hello, Mr. Dollar.
Mr. Rico?
Rico. You killing my boy, sir. So?
Yes. They tried to kill me.
Yeah, I know. Too bad.
Why, Mr. Rico?
It is simple. You was in the way.
I don't mean about me. I mean about Edith Randall and Adelici and Mark San Antonio. Why?
I take the water now, please.
Why? Do you know why?
See.
And tell me. They're all dead now.
I'm still alive.
Pietro Rico was held in custody for the immigration officials. He refused to talk about his sons or any of their activities. He just stayed in his jail cell, silent, non-committal to all visitors, including the chaplain. I don't suppose we'd ever have gotten the story of it, except that the will of Mark San Antonio disclosed that before her marriage to him, his wife's name had been Maria Rico.
Yeah. More questions, Mr. Dollar?
No, I've got some answers. Mark San Antonio's wife was your daughter, wasn't she? Wasn't she?
See.
Is that all you have to say?
I don't talk.
Well, then I do, Mr. Rico. Because your daughter had a daughter. A lovely, wonderful daughter. With her 2 sons killed. I happen to know that girl.
She had to die too.
Why?
Adelici, San Antonio, and her. They had to die. All are bad.
All of us are bad at one time or another. Who made them die? You?
She.
Who gave you the right?
I'm the father. When a daughter marries a bad man, only bad can accommodate. He came to our village many years ago and he took her away. He and the men of Adelici helped him. Live with me all this time. I live only to destroy him for that. Destroy him, the other man, and the girl, 2 my sons.
Why the girl?
She could not have been good from a bad man.
The vendetta. Is that it?
If you like, vendetta. He was a bad man who did bad things. Bad man. I smoke now. You got a cigar?
The disposition of old Pietro Rico is up to the immigration authorities. I didn't stay around St. Petersburg for all the complex examinations that would have to be made to test his sanity. I had enough of St. Petersburg. Expense account, item 3, hotel and board, $79.30. Item 4, hospital, $168.13. Item 5, same as item 1, transportation back to Hartford. Expense account total, $573.49. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, stars John Lund in the title role and is written by E. Jack Newman with music by Eddie Dunstetter. Featured in tonight's cast were John McIntyre, Joe Kern, Jeanette Nolan, Virginia Gregg, and Jay Novello. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle. This is Dan Cumberly inviting you to join us next week at this time when John Lund returns as...
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Welcome back. Well, a very sad story and kind of a study in how hatred, even with a somewhat justifiable base, can lead to such a great tragedy. I will say Bob Bailey did this version of this in the 5-part, and again, I hate to poo-poo it all, the version we're listening to now, but that the 5-part version with Bob Bailey is definitely something to hear. I think particularly Part 5 was extraordinarily well done, but this one worked as well. Lund, I think, did a good job showing the emotion and really delivered a solid performance here. Well, we turn now to listener comments and feedback. And Lisa offers this. Hi, Adam. I'm glad to contribute to your terrific show. Follow that passion. You're wasted at the call center. Your fan, Lisa. Well, thanks so much, Lisa. And while I definitely hope to, provide some help to other people over there when I'm on the job and to learn some lessons in character, I'm kind of ready to move on, and as soon as is practical. And so I appreciate your support here and the support of all of our listeners during this listener support campaign. Well, that will do it for this week. Join us on Monday for Barrie Craig Confidential Investigator, and then back here on Friday for yours truly, Johnny Dollar. I encourage you to support our listener support campaign. Thank you to everyone who has donated. Everyone who gives $7 or more gets access to our premium site, which features a lot of our extras that we do for the app. Nice for those of you who don't have the app. Though at the $20 level, we offer your choice of several colonial radio theater dramas, or also the Twilight Zone radio dramas that were produced earlier in the 21st century, with performances of such scripts as To Serve Man, adapted to radio drama, and there's lots of other options. You can learn more at support.greatdetectives.net. Well, one question could be asked is why we're doing this special. After all, this is yesterday's Johnny Dollar was our 610th episode, and we're not due for another special until episode 650. The reason for this, and the reason we're playing an episode of Night Beat, is this series began to air in 1950. Initially, Edmund O'Brien auditioned for the lead role, but the role ended up going to Frank Lovejoy, who played Randy Stone, a columnist who found mystery, intrigue, suspense, and real human drama as he searched for column ideas for his column for the Night Beat, which had him wandering about Chicago late at night. This was a classic program, but 10 episodes in, another time slot opened up on NBC. NBC had the idea to rerun episodes of Night Beat, the first 4 episodes of Night Beat, in this time slot to help attract attention to Night Beat so people would tune into Night Beat at its normal time. And all 4 of these recordings survived. What made them a little bit different is that the leads in 4 different mystery dramas, Dragnet, Dangerous Assignment, Richard Diamond, and Christopher London, appeared to promo their own series. Well, these were a little different from the original recordings, and I kind of needed to decide what I was going to do with them, because I certainly couldn't play them in Night Beat, because it would only be a few weeks since we first played the episode, the original one, that NBC was rerunning for your approval. But when I found out about the guest spots there in the middle, it seemed to make sense to me to play these episodes, which promoted both Night Beat and the program mentioned in the middle, during the other program's run. So since we're running Christopher London during this 3-week period, you're getting a sample of Night Beat, which we'll eventually do here on the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. But here now, from April 16th of 1950, is the episode of Night Beat, A World of His Own.
The National Broadcasting Company wishes to call your attention to a program regularly heard on Monday evenings at 10 p.m. New York time over most of these stations. We invite you now to listen, evaluate, and perhaps become a fan of this regularly scheduled Monday night program. Here then, for your approval, is Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the Night Beat for the Chicago Star. Stories start in many different ways. Tonight's story started when I walked into a nice little guy's private world, and it blew up right in my face.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
When the streetcars and the subways spill out their thousands of tired ones who scurry off into a million directions to find home, that's when my job begins. I start walking, looking for my story so that you can read about it in your morning newspaper and feel good because it didn't happen to you. Tonight I got my story fast, just walking down Madison Street, west away from the center of things. I kept walking, past the shooting gallery and the nickel arcade, the peep shows, the fortune-telling machines, the jukebox taverns. Madison Street, the quick route to happiness for the world's worst hangover. And then straight ahead of me was Pop Gordon's training gym, where the public pay 30 cents to watch fellas training to beat each other's brains out. When I got inside, it looked like just one of those fights. But then I heard one voice over the others, and it was a voice I knew.
Hey, take them all! Somebody call a cop! Somebody call a cop! Get this punchy loon out of here! You're yelling stupid bums out of here! You're laughing at me!
What's the matter, Pop?
Randy! Oh, this crazy owl's gone clear off his rocker.
Well, that's Billy.
Yeah, somebody call a cop!
Wait a second, Pop. He's all right.
Yeah, sure. Listen to him. I'll kill you! Only one place for a loon like that, the bug house. I'm going to get the cops and have this owl tied up.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Pop. Let me talk to him.
Randy, stay away from that lug. 5 of us couldn't hold him.
He knows me.
Randy, the guy's gone nuts, I tell you.
Hey, Yellow, like I said, everybody's scared of getting in the same ring with Billy the Kid.
Hiya, Billy. How's it going?
You coming in with me?
Oh, sure. Make me a big man getting into the same ring with the champ.
That's me, champ. You're a two-bit bum.
The thumbnail description, if I ever heard one.
Admit it. The truth. A two-bit bum. Admit it.
I admit it, Billy.
Yeah, but you don't mean it. You're laughing at me just like the rest of them.
Billy, I never laughed at you in my life.
Laughing? Well, I'll show you what happens to anybody who laughs at Billy the Kid.
As the world flew away in all directions, I dimly remembered how the sports writers used to speak so respectfully of Billy's fast left hand. When the fog finally cleared, Pop Gordon was bending over me, and there were a lot of other faces, too. I didn't see Billy when I stood up.
You okay, Randy?
Oh, that's being okay. I don't want any part of it.
He slugged you, but good.
Where is he?
Took off before the cops come. Took off before anybody could grab him.
I don't blame them.
I let that bum come in the gym and sit around. Everybody else pays 30 cents. But him, I let in for free. Now, what's he do, huh? He busts loose and blows his top.
Why? What happened?
I don't know. Tonight I catch him putting a bite on my customers. 2 bits here, a dime there.
Billy was panhandling?
Sure, like I said. I didn't like it, so I tell him.
And then what?
I don't know. I'm over at the other side of the gym. I hear somebody laugh, and the next thing I know, the owl's swinging like a windmill. He's going to kill everybody just for being around. He ought to be tied up.
Oh, just like that, huh?
He ain't safe.
You want the Black Mariah to come around and cart him away like a load of rubbish?
But for his own good.
Oh, Pop, remember when he was champ? He packed him in every club where he fought. He had $1 or $5 for anybody who held out a hand.
So? What are you getting at?
Well, now he's got no one, Pop. Now he's out in the cold.
Yeah, I'll forget the cops. Well, we still got to put him away.
Yeah, sure, but let's do it as painless as possible. I'll keep him with me tonight, and then tomorrow...
You going after him?
Which way'd he go?
Straight up the street. But watch out, Randy. He blows his lid and you can't...
Oh, don't worry. I don't want any rematch. I'd like to know why he blew his lid in the first place and my jaw in the second place. I'd known Billy a long time. He was a sweet, gentle little guy who always seemed to be living in a world all of his own. A world that nobody else knew about and cared less. And now he was in trouble. In his mood, he might hurt someone, or worse, he might get himself hurt. I must have walked for half an hour before I finally spotted him standing on a corner. I stopped and watched him for a couple of minutes. I watched his hesitant, embarrassed panhandling. And then I walked over to him slowly. Hello, Billy.
What? Hiya, Randy. Oh, pal. I ain't seen you for a couple of weeks. Where you been keeping yourself, huh?
You haven't seen me for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I thought maybe you forgot an old pal, huh?
No, you're not the kind of fella forgets, champ. What was the trouble back at the gym?
Jim? What Jim?
Pop Gordon's.
Pop's place?
Yeah.
Well, let's go. I gotta help Pop. He's a good Joe. He never charges me nothing to get in.
Now, hold it a second, Billy.
Yeah?
Weren't you at the gym tonight?
Oh, no, not tonight. I've been here.
And you didn't, massage my chin?
What? You giving me a rib? What you looking at me like that for, Randy?
Forget it, Billy.
You was just ribbing, huh?
Oh, sure. Just kidding.
I like ribs. Not giving the hot foot, nothing like that, but funny ribs that don't hurt nobody.
Oh, sure. Can I ask you a $64 question?
Sure not. You ask me anything, Randy, anything.
I've never seen you ask for a touch before.
But you seen me doing it?
Uh-huh.
I ain't never gonna do it no more, Randy, but I got it tonight. I gotta get a few bucks. Maybe 15. I already got $2 and maybe 15.
Why do you need $15?
Well, I gotta get a new suit.
A new suit? What's so special about tonight, Billy?
There's something I gotta do. I gotta do, Randy. I gotta have $15. I heard them scarps.
Hey, that's you, Randy?
Yeah. Oh, Sullivan?
I know, Randy. Don't let him pick me up for panhandling, please.
No, I won't, Billy. Now you wait here. I'll be right back.
Okay.
That's Billy back there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, Sullivan. Why?
Heard you had a little trouble with him back at the gym. Maybe we ought to put him in a tank for the night to keep him out of trouble.
Oh, look, Sullivan. He's going away tomorrow for a long time.
Oh, like that, eh?
Yeah, that's it. This is his last night out.
I see. Okay, that's the way I do it myself. See you around, Randy, but keep an eye on him.
Yes, I'll watch him like a hawk. Thanks, Sullivan. So long.
What they say, Randy? They ain't gonna pick me up for mooching, are they? They ain't gonna...
No, they're not. But, listen, Billy, how'd you like to come to my apartment for a while?
Well, I can't. I told you I gotta get $15.
Well, we'll talk about it.
But I gotta get it tonight. No, I gotta get a new suit because...
Go on, why?
Well, I can't be wearing this commie rag when I see her. Not when I see her.
I didn't know what he meant, but whatever had made him go crazy at the gym, whatever had made him hit me was tied in with her. Who she was, I didn't know. I wasn't sure that he knew. I finally talked him into going to my place, and when we went in, I watched that slow, gentle smile come over his face.
Hi. This place is A number 1.
Yeah. Sit down, Billy.
I ain't got much time.
Oh, just a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm awful tired, Randy. Seems like a lot of things happened tonight. I'm kind of tired.
Want a drink, Billy?
Oh, no. I never touch it. You know that.
Yeah, and you never panhandled before.
I ain't gonna do that no more either. Just tonight, Randy. I never bummed from nobody. I paid my own way.
That's why I want to know why you're putting the bite on people tonight.
I ain't gonna tell you. You'll laugh.
No, I won't laugh.
You will. Somebody else laughed when I told it. Somebody else laughed. Well, when somebody laughs at me, I don't like it. I
easy,
tell you.
Billy, easy now. Easy. Oh, that's better now.
Randy, I tell you, I gotta get $15. Hey, look at this.
What's this, Billy?
I cut it out of the paper today. I seen it. You take a look at it. You read what it says.
Mrs. Walter Compton and her husband.
Yeah. Go on. There's more.
The prominent society leaders of New York will be in town tonight. They're staying at the lake shore.
I can't go there in this crummy rag.
Why do you have to see her?
Well, I gotta tell her something. It's getting late, Randy. I gotta get going.
I'll lend you the $15, Billy.
You? Oh, no. I pay my own way.
Well, you pay it back whenever you get a job.
I don't want no handouts.
Just a loan, Billy. It's a loan.
But... thanks, Randy. You're a champ.
Now, tell me why you've got to see her.
You ain't gonna laugh. I can take anything but that, anything.
I won't laugh, Billy.
No, I guess you wouldn't. Okay. You remember once I was champ?
Everybody knows that you were champ. Now, what about her, Mrs. Compton?
Yeah. Well, it's one night after a fight. I ain't a champ yet, but I'm punching right to the top, see? Okay, but this one fight, she ain't there. So I go to see her at her place. She's there. She's there when I walk.
Who's that?
Me, Billy. Where are you?
Be out in a minute.
Sure. I win tonight, Edna.
Yeah, I heard on the radio.
Well?
Well, what?
Well, it don't mean a thing?
Sure. Means a lot, I guess.
You guess? Oh, kid, for a doll who's going to marry the next middleweight champ, you sure take things like a lump of ice.
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong, Edna?
No.
Oh, there is.
Okay, something's wrong. Have it your way.
You wasn't at the fight tonight, baby. I looked for you. It took me 3-4 rounds to get going because I didn't see you.
You won?
Oh, kid. Come here. Look at me.
Sure. The eye got torn open again, huh?
Oh, it's nothing. Collodion fixed it.
Collodion fixes everything, huh? Get cut up, use collodion. It's nice. It puts you all together again. How long do you think you'll stay together?
Oh, what's eating on you, honey? The last 2 or 3 weeks.
The last 2-3 weeks. The last 2-3 years.
Yeah, that's right.
I hate it.
Hate what?
Oh, shut up.
Oh, kid, what's wrong?
You and me.
But I don't get it.
The only thing you do get is a measly few bucks for getting your head knocked off.
But I'm a fighter, honey.
You're a fighter, all right, fight. But count me out.
What? Oh, now, wait a minute.
I've been waiting for him to carry you home.
Me? Me?
It can't happen, huh?
Well, all of a sudden, you start blowing your top.
It's not all of a sudden. You said it. You said there was something wrong for the last 2-3 years.
Okay. Okay, spill it.
I'm through, Billy. Washed up. Finished.
What?
You and me. Done.
Since when?
Since right now.
Oh, baby, it's just the eye. You see me this way and you...
Ah, the eye.
Don't laugh at me, Edna. I'd take anything but being laughed at.
It is a laugh.
Now listen.
You listen to me. I don't care if you get punched all over the state. I don't care if you get your brains rattled so hard.
Edna.
It's me I care about from now on.
Okay. Okay, so I'll be champ. So you'll get your fur coat.
Not from you. Not from a guy who's beginning to look like a punching bag instead of a man. Look at me. Take a good look.
I am. Yeah, I am.
I got looks. I got class. I can do all right.
Well, I still don't get it,
All right,
honey.
I'll lay it on the line for you. You want me to?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not going to tie myself to a punchy character. I'm not going to have to walk in nice places with a guy whose face is... Well, look at it. Go take a good look in the mirror. You see what I mean?
You want me to quit?
I don't care if you do or not, because it's too late, Billy. It's too late.
Oh, now you shouldn't say things like that. Edna, please don't laugh at me. That's the way it was, Randy. That's the way.
Yeah, I see. Look, Billy, you don't want to go and see her after that.
I tell you, Randy, I gotta see her. There's something I gotta tell her. And it's gotta be tonight because tomorrow she'll be gone.
Billy, how do you know that she'll see you?
Oh, I know. I know because there's something I ain't told you. Something I ain't never gonna tell nobody. And Randy, please don't try to stop me. Please don't let anybody try to stop me because if I do, I'll kill him.
NBC is bringing you an encore performance of Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. Before continuing with our story, here is the star of another NBC program, Mr. Glenn Ford.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be able to talk with you for a moment about Night Beat. Some of you may be new listeners hearing this encore broadcast of Night Beat for the first time. Now, if you are, I'd like to tell you that Night Beat is a regular Monday night program on NBC. So why not give a listen to this exciting series on this same NBC station tomorrow night and every Monday night?
Thank you, Glenn Ford. And later this afternoon, we'll be listening to your own great adventure show, Christopher London. But now, let's listen again to Randy Stone.
Billy said he'd kill anybody who'd try to stop him from seeing Mrs. Walter Compton. I looked at his scarred face and into his eyes. A wild fever you see in the eyes of a dog everyone says is mad, but only wants a drink of water. And then...
I guess I shouldn't have said that, Randy.
Billy, why do you want to see her?
You don't understand dames, huh?
No, my mother never told me.
Well, she gives me the brush, see? Like I tell you, she gives me the brush. But she does it for me, see? She don't want me to get my brains knocked out, see?
Yeah, I'm beginning to see, Billy.
Sure. But me, I got no sense. I don't see it her way, so I let her walk out and I don't see her no more. That is not until I get hold of that paper today.
And tonight you want to see her. To say what, Billy?
What, don't you see? She loves me. All these years, she never lets up. And I want to tell her it's okay. That maybe her and me, we can start all over like, see? Wait. What's the matter, Randy?
Nothing, Billy. Don't let anybody kid you, pal. You're still champion.
Oh, I ain't nothing. But I gotta go now. I gotta get $15 for a suit.
Now, look, you're tired. You need a shave, maybe take a shower. Have you thought of that?
What? No.
All right. Now, you wait here. Take a shower and a shave. I'll bring a suit back for you. Is that a deal?
Oh, gee, you're a champ, Randy, a real champ.
I might be gone for a little while, Billy, but when I come back, everything will be okay.
Sure.
Okay. There was only one thing for me to do. Go see Mrs. Walter Compton. I made sure that Billy couldn't leave my apartment. I locked the door from the outside. I didn't want him picked up before he had a chance to see her. To see the woman around whom he'd built a whole world of fantasy in which he'd lived for so many years. And I didn't want that world to come down around his ears. My newspaper pass got me in to see Mrs. Walter Compton in her suite at the lakeshore.
You're Mr. Stone?
Yes, I am, Mrs. Compton.
You're from the newspaper?
Well, I'm not on newspaper business, Mrs. Compton. Not tonight. This is more personal.
Really? Well, what can I...
Do for me? Nothing.
Then please get to the point, Mr. Stone. My husband will be here shortly with guests.
How soon?
An hour. Why?
Well, because it concerns someone you used to know.
Really? Who?
Billy Candell.
Billy Candell?
Yes, better known as Billy the Kid. He was once middleweight champion of the world.
Oh, I'd forgotten. And I was glad to.
Mrs. Compton, he's coming here tonight to see you.
What? He's coming? How stupid can one get?
Well, for a lot of people, it's not hard to be stupid or heartless.
Yours must be a rather sentimental column, Mr. Stone.
Yes, it's about people.
You better go.
I want you to see Billy. What can you lose?
It's out of the question.
Listen, all he wants to do is tell you something. He wants to tell you that he knows that you still love him.
What? Oh, no.
Oh, no, listen to me, please. Tomorrow he's going to where he can rest. He's sick, Mrs. Compton. He's desperately sick.
Let's not be so polite. The word is punch drunk, I believe. You want me to see a maniac?
He's not. I'll be here when he comes. We'll keep it between the three of us.
Do you know what you're asking?
Yes, I'm asking you to give a sweet little guy a few minutes of his world. Now make it real for him. Tell him anything. Tell him you still love him. Then he'll go away, and after tomorrow you'll never see him or hear from him again.
You're asking me to receive that thing? To bring him into this hotel where everyone can see him? Do you know what that means?
To him, yes.
I'm talking about myself. Myself, Mr. Stone.
Can we get off that subject for a moment?
It's the only subject that matters.
Well, if you don't see him, he'll crack up all the way.
That happened long ago. Good evening, Mr. Stone.
3 minutes of your time, please.
I said no. Did you hear, Mr. Stone? I said no.
Okay, lady. Okay, I'm going now. Thank you for everything. It's been lovely.
You needn't be sarcastic, Mr. Stone.
Oh, needn't I be? Look, Queenie, I got a little spot announcement for you. Billy owes you a vote of thanks. You'll never know it, but you gave him the biggest break of his life when you walked out on him years ago.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. Tonight you're giving him even a bigger break.
Tell me about it, Mr. Stone.
Yes, I'll tell you, because the only thing the poor guy's got left is a memory of a girl named Edna. Any resemblance between that memory and you was strictly coincidental. Goodbye. I was glad to get out into the fresh air. All the way back to my apartment, I kept thinking of what I'd tell Billy, how I'd tell him. And then as I walked across the lobby toward the elevator...
Mr. Stone. Mr. Stone.
Oh, what, Charlie?
Here's a message for you.
Okay.
Here you are, Mr. Stone.
Oh, thank you. How long ago did he leave this?
Oh, why, just a few minutes after you had left. Did you know you'd left him locked in? He called down and asked me...
No, never mind that. Did he say where he was going?
Oh, no, sir, no. Just that he couldn't wait for you any longer.
Yeah, that's on the note. How did he look?
How did he look?
I mean, anything unusual about him?
Oh, he had on one of your suits. I remember now, that pinstripe. He must have stolen
Oh,
it.
he didn't steal anything. Now, listen to me.
Yes.
I'm going to the Lakeshore Hotel. If he comes back here, get in touch with me there. Mrs. Compton's suite.
Mrs. Compton's suite,
That's
yes,
right.
yes.
Oh, and listen. I think you better call the police. But as for Kalski, remember that Kalski? Tell him to meet me at the Lakeshore Hotel and quick. I grabbed a cab and took the shortest way to the lakeshore. I watched the pavements looking for Billy, but I didn't see him. He had some money on him. He must have taken a cab himself. And then I was back at the lakeshore talking with the clerk at the desk there.
Yes, sir, there was a man here of that description. He asked a call to be put through to Mrs. Compton's suite.
And was it?
Well, sir, he was rather, well...
Yes, I know. So he didn't get through?
I called Mrs. Compton's suite myself and told her. That is, I described the man.
Yes, I know. All right, go ahead. Now, what did she say?
That on no account was I to put him through or send him upstairs.
Oh. Well, okay, that's something. What did he do then?
He left immediately.
Which way?
I'm afraid I didn't notice, sir. I was registering some new guests and paid no attention.
Okay, thank you very much. I had to find Billy before. Well, before what? What would he do? Where would he go? I asked myself those questions as I walked slowly along, watching for him, hoping to see that pathetic figure in my pinstripe suit, hoping I'd get to him before someone else stopped him. I was afraid of what might happen or could happen. And then I saw him, just past the Lakeshore Hotel, shambling slowly along, his shoulders hunched against the sharp wind that cut in off the lake. I ran and caught up with him. Billy! Billy!
What? Oh. Hiya, Randy. What you doing over here?
Oh, I just looking around. Why'd you leave my apartment?
What? Well, you was gone so long, and I had to get going, see.
Oh, sure. Come on, let's walk.
Yeah. Randy, I borrowed one of your suits. It's a real champ suit, all right. You mind, huh? You mind?
No, Billy, no, not at all. Did you see her?
Sure.
What?
Sure.
You did?
I see her.
Billy, they wouldn't let you go up, remember?
Yeah, but I went up the back.
The back? Billy. Now, look at me now. Are you sure?
Oh, sure. Sure. And she still loves me, Randy. I said everything was okay. She's crazy about me like she always was.
What did she tell you?
Oh, she didn't want to talk to me. You know how she is. But then I told her I love her, and she loves me. And
Billy.
And
Billy?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm tired. Lots of things happened tonight, Randy. Lots of things.
Yeah, I know. What do you say we stop someplace for coffee?
Yeah, I like that. I'm tired. When I get rested real good, I'll go back to see her. Her and me, we'll start over again. Hey, Randy, this is where she lives, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, look, Randy, I gotta see her once more. Maybe she'll talk to me this time, huh?
No, not tonight anymore, Billy.
I want her to talk to me.
She won't.
Yes, she will. She loves me.
Billy, listen to me. You let me go up there first. I'll talk to her and fix everything, okay?
Tell her not to act like a kid. Tell her to talk to me, huh?
Yeah, sure, I'll tell her. Now, you wait.
Hey, Stone.
Kalski?
You put in a call for us?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's okay now. I found him.
What'd you call the cops for, Randy?
Oh, Kalski's not a cop. He's a pal of yours. He thinks you're the greatest fighter that ever lived.
Oh?
Always wanted to talk to you about your big fight.
Oh, sure. But we're busy now, Kolsky. I'll talk to you about it later. I gotta see somebody.
Billy, I promised you I'd see her, remember?
You're gonna tell her I'll be waiting?
Sure. Now, you just stay with Kolsky here and tell him about the night you won the belt.
Anything the matter, Stone?
No. You keep him here. I'll answer questions later. Now, Billy.
Yeah?
Promise me that you'll stay right here.
You won't stay long, huh? Just tell her she loves me. And I want her to talk to me.
Yeah, that's all. Now, you wait here. I didn't think it would do any good to see her again, but I wanted to give Billy a good memory to take along. I saw her, all right, but she didn't talk to me either. I went back downstairs and out to the street. I hadn't been gone more than 5 minutes, but they were the longest 5 minutes of my life. Brother, I was beat.
Hey, Randy, you see her, huh? You see her?
I saw her, Billy.
What does she say, huh? You tell her what I said?
I told her.
Hey, Stone, how long does this go on? This is a prowl car, not a bus.
We're coming along with you.
What's the idea?
You get in the back, Billy?
Yeah. I'm kind of tired. I kind of like to ride to your place, Randy.
Take us to the precinct, Kolsky.
Listen, Randy, you see his girl?
Yeah, I saw her. I guess she laughed once too often. She's dead.
What?
Yeah, now, but take it easy, Kolsky. The poor guy doesn't even know that he killed her. 4 a.m. and the lights are going out all over the city, even those neon signs on Madison Street. I've got to write my piece and put it in the slot, but What can I say? A story of one-sided love? Well, if that's what love does to you, then I'll stick to pinochle. It's a funny thing about love, isn't it? You let someone get up and talk about hate, and he's hailed as a new leader. Let him speak of love, and he's ridiculed, spat upon. Yes, or even nailed to a cross. Love is the sweetest thing of it the birdies sing. Yeah. Copy, boy.
Night Beat, a new dramatic series, stars Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. Today's script was written by Russell Hughes. Night Beat is edited by Larry Marcus and directed by Warren Lewis. Music by Frank Worth. Portions were transcribed. The part of the prizefighter was played by Bill Conrad. Others in the cast were Lorene Tuttle, Larry Dobkin, Charles Seal, and Joe Forte. NBC has presented for your approval a special edition of Night Beat to acquaint you with this regularly scheduled Monday evening program. Listen then tomorrow night, when again you will hear Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone on Night Beat. And now stay tuned for High Adventures starring Burgess Meredith on NBC.
Welcome back. Well, a very sad, melancholy episode. What's really noteworthy about this to me, and what I did not pick up the first time I listened to this episode, is who was playing the role of Billy. It was William Conrad. And this was a very different role for Conrad. Usually when we hear Bill Conrad in these episodes, last time, for example, was in episode 605. He was playing a hard-nosed police officer. Or more often, we'll hear him as the heavy. Here, Conrad shows some real versatility in taking on this role of Billy the Kid, and did a great job just establishing this sympathetic and very wounded individual. So a very nicely done piece of drama here. Great acting by Bill Conrad. A little less mysterious than some other episodes of Night Beat, but it gives you an idea of what you have in store when we actually get to that series. All right. Well, that will do it for today. We will be back on Monday with Barrie Craig, Confidential Investigator. If you have a comment, send it to box13@greatdetectives.net. Be sure to take a look at our listener support campaign, support.greatdetectives.net, and follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives. But from Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.